And welcome to After Hours. Jay Binkley, Blake Schneiders producing the operation. What's going on, Blake?
Doing well, Bank. How we doing today?
Team USA men's hockey won, going to the semifinals. What a game for Sweden. Goes into OT, 3-on-3 in overtime. Team USA gets the win. Yeah, they'll play on Friday afternoon in the semifinals. Can't wait. It's gonna be fun. You have USA and Canada tomorrow for the gold medal in the women's hockey. So can't wait, man. 100% can't wait for the Olympics to keep on rolling on. But of course, we know one of the bigger stories is Rashee Rice and that situation with what's going on with Rashee Rice. And of course, you've heard people talk about it today. I mean, it's basically something that you already knew. There was an Instagram post that came out a couple months ago. But today, somehow, TMZ got a hold of the situation, and now they have a story about Rashee Rice being sued in civil court from his the mother of his two children. It says we will allow Rashee Rice's lawyers made a response. He said we'll allow the legal process to run its course and have no further comment at this time. So Rashee Rice in a situation with that, and who knows the situation? I mean, she's suing Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice's attorney did come out, and it said October 9th, 2025, well after the parties' relationship is ended. This coming from the lawyer, one of the lawyers from Rashee Rice. Ms. Jones stated under penalty of perjury in a sworn affidavit for non-prosecution that Mr. Rice and I had a verbal argument, but he did not punch me. We will allow the legal process to run its course and have no further comment at this time. So, yeah, innocent, guilty. It's not my for alleged allegations, a civil lawsuit. We already know other things that happen. It's beyond me to determine what this is, a court of law. I just know that, once again, it's something that doesn't appear good. We don't know, let the legal system run its course, but it also shows you there's a glaring hole for the Chiefs at number 9 for the wide receiver position. And it was already a need for the Kansas City Chiefs. This becomes more. You're talking about a dude that's played hardly any games the last 2 years. Remember, he missed 6 from that suspension to start the season, missed 2 at the end of the year for a concussion. Of course, he was hurt in week 4 the week before. He just hasn't put seasons together. And this team desperately needs wide receivers for Patrick Mahomes. And what's funny, Blake, is the fact that I keep seeing these mocks for the Kansas City Chiefs coming out, and again, having like a Reuben Bain or somebody like that on it, the edge rushers. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Now, there's a chance he does play. Of course, we don't know. I mean, let this whole legal system play out. But again, there's only seems to be something. What you do know this, if they're not going to give Rashee Rice money, this is the last year of his contract. So the Chiefs do need wide receiver help going into the future. We keep seeing these mock drafts without wide receivers. I saw a couple didn't have any wide receivers to the Kansas City Chiefs throughout the whole draft. And I'm sitting here going, what the hell? These things, we need a drastic shift in these mock drafts coming out. The Chiefs have got to draft a wide receiver at number 9. I don't even think it's an option at this point.
Well, I feel like this is one of those situations where the Chiefs, because of outside and off-field issues, have now been almost had their hand forced into a draft position because of the uncertainty of a player, one of their top players, i.e., let's kick it back to Tyreek's situation where they went out and drafted Mecole Hardman. It's almost the exact same situation where you're in a position to possibly lose your number 1. Okay, well, if that's the case, we desperately need help at the wide receiver position, which should have been addressed last year. It never really was. So it's like the Chiefs' hands have been forced again just a few years later. Same old story.
It's bizarre. I know that you and I have gone back and forth on this, Blake, where you want to see the Chiefs draft. I just think it becomes more imperative. And keep in mind, this has nothing to do with this. Now, it was wide receiver to me even before this came up. But who knows how this thing happens? It's a civil suit that was filed in Dallas against Rashee Rice, and she wants $1 million. And I'll just say this. This is why I was advocating before this stuff happened to go ahead and get him an extension because the one thing he did had was with the autos in Dallas where he did plead guilty for it. And he did miss the 6 games because of that, because it would be a cheaper rate. You'd be getting a good receiver at a cheaper price because you got to pay legal fees to all that. You got to pay the people involved in that. And then if he loses that, that's more money gone. Well, stop forget. Dude's a second-round pick that has 0 endorsements. It's not like just money's just all over the place for a second-round pick that's got to give millions of dollars to other people. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I mean, he has put himself in a very tough position, not only with his career off the field, but with his career on the field. The amount of money he's going to make, legal issues outside. And like you said, this is a civil suit, so it's not going to go. I'm curious to see how the NFL steps in, if they step in.
Well, they always like
and
to
if they
step
do,
in.
what they'll do.
And my question is this, because he does have the other court case, that's been done.
Yes.
Is there something else involved in it? Like, I don't know. Not a lawyer or anything. I don't know.
Yeah, we are not legal
I don't know
experts
if this
by any
breaks that kind of cycle that, hey, stay out of trouble for X amount of years, and then even though it is a civil suit, I don't know.
Because he was on
I don't know. I have no idea the legalese for it.
I don't know if civil suits go against your probation at all. I don't know how that works.
The bottom line is, dude has played in 12 games the last 2 years. 12. And there's 17-game seasons in the NFL. He hasn't even played enough. He's 5 games short of just playing 1 season at 17 games. He's played 12 in 2 years. That's hard to do. That's why all this stuff about the Chiefs getting edge rushers and stuff like that, I'm like, okay. So you're believing in, and again, I think there's a lot of belief in receivers being there. It seems like there's almost too much belief. People go to St. Joe, they see the Chiefs scoring 70-yard touchdowns, and it becomes this, oh, man, he's got plenty to throw to. Then you have a 37-year-old tight end that is the main weapon on offense who hasn't even 100% said if he's coming back or not. I get it, man. You want the defense to get better. I want the defense to get better. But I'll tell you this much. The edge class is pretty deep in this draft, picking at 40. So it is pretty deep at that position. But you need somebody long-term to sit in there. I always thought Rashee Rice was that dude. He goes to Camp Pat down in Texas. They have this bond, this chemistry together. You saw it this year with the back shoulder fade. But then again comes the old thing, Blake, you got to have availability. You have to actually play the games. Like, that is the important part. Somebody to throw the football to, somebody to move the ball with the offense. Yeah, who knows how this thing turns out? Not saying, I don't know. I try to stay out of these type of things, let them play out in court, and then comment after a decision has been made. I think that's the fair way to do it. Just let them decide it. But I will say this. From a football standpoint, it's a lot of headaches. It is. It's a year. You can't do anything about the injury. I get that. But everything else starts to become an issue. It starts becoming drama. And drama brings headaches. And you want to rid yourself of drama. I'll tell you this much. Andy Reid hates drama.
Very much so.
And it's all it says is drama. Well, but I just want to know. I'm curious. And we'll get into the mocks later, what people are saying right now. But I'd like to see them after this today. Yeah. Are we still going heavy defense? Still going defense? We still going Caleb Downs, the safety from Ohio State, to Kansas City? Which direction are we going? Some people, they're hell-bent. Chiefs don't need a receiver. And I keep saying, okay, well, who the hell are they going to throw to? Because the offense was worse in every statistic than the defense was. Defense was the top 10 defense. It was number 6 in scoring defense. I get it. They have 30 free agents that are both on offense and defense. They were bad on third down, really bad on third down. They were number 1 on fourth down. They showed some signs on defense. Teams didn't score on them. They were 6th in the NFL at points against, but they couldn't score. They were 21st in scoring. They were 15th in scoring the previous 2 years, which they got through with it because their quarterback's an elite quarterback, and that's what happens when you have an elite quarterback. But it's time to give the best part of your team, because Patrick Mahomes is the Kansas City Chiefs. He is the best player on that football team. He's a 3-time Super Bowl MVP for a reason. He's a 2-time league MVP for a reason. He needs more to throw to than a Justin Watson in the past, or an undersized first-round pick in Xavier Worthy, and a Rashee Rice. It's supposed to be your number 1. That's always become a headache and a problem.
Well, the
And
problem
a 37-year-old tight end that you don't even know if he's going to retire or not.
when your number one wide receiver, if you're doing the evaluation process, has a P next to his name for has great potential, because that's all he's done so far. In the 3 years, because of everything that's gone on, that first year, he was doing great. All right. He looked really solid right out of the gate. Okay, he's moving up the depth chart. Second year, unfortunately, injury. Third year, legal issues and suspensions and whatnot. And now going into your fourth year, you still have essentially a P by your name if you're Rashee Rice. So as the number one receiver for the Chiefs, are you happy with just high potential? And he hasn't had a full season since his rookie year.
Man,
I think you're playing a really dangerous game if you're going to assume that after 3 seasons of giving Pat the bottom of the barrel of weapons and seeing what he's done, 2 Super Bowls and then skunked in a third, and now we're looking at the worst season in Pat's career so far as a Chief. I'd love to just go ahead and throw the whole dishwasher at him, to throw the kitchen sink at him, and give him as many weapons as you can. Defense, I think you can always draft defense later down. And I think you've really changed my opinion on this. I really wanted to go defense because of the flashy name, and I think it's a luring pick. Go offense. You can go offense early. Defense, you can get in.
The problem is the
throughout.
top defensive names that have been mentioned and or linked to the Chiefs probably going to be gone by the pick at 9th. A lot of that's just mute conversation because they're not going to be still sitting there at 9. But it is deep. The depth is deep for the edges that the Kansas City Chiefs can get. So, yeah, I've had a lot of people say defense. I keep in mind, I've been offense before all this because I don't like headaches. I just know that the receivers you see in St. Joe are not the same receivers that play for the Kansas City Chiefs when game 1 starts. They're just not. 2 years ago, it's Hollywood Brown, rookie Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice. Oh, man, they look good, right? Hollywood Brown's out the first preseason game against the Jags. He gets hurt. Then Rashee Rice gets hurt in week 4, and all of a sudden you're relying for 59 catches from your rookie, undersized wide receiver to be the dude, to step up and be the guy. For an offense where wide receivers haven't really dominated as rookies under Andy Reid, be it you asked him to do that. But you got by with it because Mahomes is an elite quarterback. You got by with the dude throwing the Justin Watson. Like you got by with the guy throwing the Tyquan Thornton this year. He was on the practice squad and let go by the Patriots, but he was a second-round pick. But you got by with him doing things because you rely on him too much.
Well, and some would argue you should throw to him more.
And sometimes I think they put too much pressure on Mahomes because he has no running game. You're putting all that pressure on Patrick. And a lot of times, the offensive line, even though they tried to draft offensive linemen early the last 2 years with Kingsley in the second round 2 years ago, who was going to be your left tackle that failed. And so he's at left guard now. Actually did a good job at left guard. And they were able to get Simmons. Luckily, he was still there at the first round, and that's the direction they go. But again, ask yourself this. Have they really given him all the weapons to succeed? Because typically, when you have the best player of a team, you build the team around them. You build the team around them. They have drafted heavy defense every year. Hell, when the draft was in Kansas City, 5 of the 7 picks were all on defense. This team just doesn't have first-round picks on the offense. They've won Super Bowls without it. You look at this team right now. If they play, Josh Simmons is a first-round pick. Into the first-round pick. Kingsley, no. Creed, no. Trey Smith, 6th-round pick. Jawan Taylor was a 2nd-round pick, but he's probably going to be cut. The only first-rounder there for a skill position was Hollywood Brown because he actually came in. He actually was drafted, not drafted by the Chiefs, but, of course, he was a first-round pick in the NFL, but there's not a lot of first-round picks on this team but your quarterback because you've gone heavily on defense. And I get it. You got to be good at both. And both these teams in the Super Bowl proved it throughout the season. Now, the Patriots didn't show any offense in the postseason, but both the Patriots and the Seahawks were top 4 in the NFL in scoring defense and scoring offense. The only 2 teams that were top 4 in offense and defense. Patriots, believe it or not, as crappy as they looked, that's the 2nd best offense in the NFL this year, points per game. The Seahawks are number 3. I know the Seahawks had a great defense. They were 6th in total defense, but they were 1 in points against, which is the end-all, be-all. But they were 3rd in scoring offense, and they boasted a wide receiver that led the NFL in yardage. They were able to do both. When the offense worked, the defense didn't have to be as good. But when the offense didn't work as well, like in the Super Bowl, the defense was great. The defense was outstanding. But you know what? They needed that offense. They needed over 300 yards from Sam Darnold in the NFC title game. The Rams had over almost 500 yards against the Seahawks in the NFC title game. Matt Stafford, 374, 3 touchdowns. Seahawks needed offense. JSN, 10 catches, 153 yards, and a touchdown because the defense was garbage for the Seahawks in the NFC title game. But the Super Bowl, the defense was the bomb, and the offense sucked.
I also think...
So you got to be good at both.
Oh, yeah. I think that we've seen now the Chiefs with the number one offense and the worst defense, Patrick's first couple of years or first year. We've also now seen him with a great offense and a great defense, and we've seen him with a really good defense from this year, despite what everybody thinks. Yep. Despite the Twitter, despite the text line, although the text line is usually a little bit smarter than Twitter is in general, the defense actually played really good this year. It was just the offense was so utterly terrible, it made the defense look even worse. So if there was a crack in the armor, that crack became a loss instantly.
Well, they had 22 attempts on the defense on fourth down, but they were number one.
I know. So I would trade.
They were only around 67%. They were down 27% yielding first downs on fourth down, meaning Patrick Mahomes in that offense was getting out at a higher rate ever in his career. He was getting back on the field, but the offense couldn't do anything.
And that's why I would trade a more solidified offense for even let's just say the Chiefs defense was middle of the pack. I would trade that for a better offense than a number 2 defense in the same offense we've been seeing, because that was atrocious. It was disgusting to watch. There was no creativity. It seemed like game plans never changed, and the defense was just going out there working their butt off day in and day out, and they continuously were putting up L's on the board. I would rather take just a small step back from my defense to boast the offense, because we know that as long as Pat can put points on the board, our defense is going to show up. I say our defense, the Chiefs' defense.
I just wonder when they're going to do it. Like when he's 38 and going to retire, and then all of a sudden you start building up the offense, and you ask yourself, for what? Our quarterback's now gone. That one chance that we had is now gone. To get those offensive weapons, it's gone. It's done. When you have an average quarterback like a C.J. Stroud, like a Bo Nix, you build up your defense. You build up a defense so you can be a viable team. If you have an elite quarterback, you give that elite quarterback weapons to succeed. You give Jamar Chase to Joe Burrow and see what they can do. You give elite weapons to elite quarterbacks and let the elite quarterback go out and win games. They've let an elite quarterback go out and win games with not a lot of talent because he just does it because he's so good.
When they were able to skate by for a lot longer than people thought. Yeah. And win.
Yeah. Text line let me know that Xavier Worthy was the first. I'm talking starting. He wasn't starting in a lot of those roles. There was times he wasn't starting, and of course he's a first-round pick. But there were times he wouldn't start. But they had to have him start. And if you listen and pull the wax out of your ear and listen to me, I said we had to get an into the first-round guy and Xavier Worthy to catch the football. Just listen and just listen. Just listen, and we'll set you free. But there is good news for the Kansas City Chiefs. We need to get into that next.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan.
This is Kevin Harlan, and I'm here with Rob Seid of Rob Seid Ford. Fresh off a record-breaking year and a successful run at Ford's 2025 Top Volume Award. Rob, how did you do it?
Kevin, it's simple. We pulled out all the stops on price, on trade values, on inventory, and made sure our customers got an experience they couldn't find anywhere else.
Well, the race isn't over. 2026 is here, and you're back in the chase again.
That's right, and we're going even harder this year. More inventory, more aggressive trade-in values, and a buying experience other dealers just can't match.
Well, you're not just talking, you've got the receipts. Kansas City's only top-rated Ford dealer on Google, 4.8 stars with nearly 3,000 reviews. Voted best car dealership in Kansas City by KC Magazine.
The recognition matters, but what actually matters is how you feel when you call or visit Rob Seid Ford.
Inventory, value, transparency, and no pressure. That's why people keep coming back.
Come see us at 135th and State Line or visit us online at robsight.com.
Rob Seid Ford. Buy right. Drive happy.
Need to sell your house in Kansas City but not sure what the best option is? Selling a home, especially when dealing with foreclosure, divorce, job relocation, or an inherited property, can feel overwhelming. That's why I don't just make offers. I help homeowners understand all their options so they can make the right choice with no pressure and no obligation. I'm Rex, a local homebuyer and resident right here in Kansas City. Whether you're looking for a fast cash sale or just want to explore your choices, I'll walk you through the pros and cons of selling to me or listing with an agent. If selling directly is your best move, I'll offer you a fair cash price and a closing timeline that fits your needs in as little as 7 days or on your schedule. No repairs, no commissions, no hidden fees. Just a transparent, hassle-free process so you know exactly what to expect. Let's talk. Call 816-330-6000 or visit rexbuyskc.com for a free, no-pressure consultation. Rex Buys KC, helping homeowners make informed decisions with confidence.
Clogged drains? Call your service tech from AB May to keep your plumbing systems running properly. From drain clearings to sewer line repairs, we deliver reliable solutions with unmatched care and professionalism. Right now, we're offering a $59 drain clearing special. Trusted by generations of Kansas City homeowners, AB May is committed to doing things the right way every time. Call 913-732-9993 or visit abmay.com.
Call your serviceman from AB May.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Tonight, expect a low of 48 with mostly cloudy skies.
Weather brought to you by Staples. From posters and presentations to labels and loyalty cards, Staples has all the print to boost your brand. Shop now in-store and online. Staples. That was easy.
Kansas City, you need to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can watch all your favorite shows right from your phone, computer, or tablet. Every day, we stream the shows live on YouTube, plus clips from the biggest moments and biggest guests. Hit that subscribe button so 96.5 The Fan goes right to the top of your feed. In your car, on your phone, or on your computer, we are everywhere. This is your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan.
Welcome back to After Hours. Jay Binkley, Blake Schneiders. The defense. People still on defense. Here's what they did, Blake. On fourth down, the defense this year, they only gave up 6 first downs. When the team went forward on fourth down, 23 attempts, 26.1% against the Chiefs defense. That's ended up being 12th most attempts the teams went forward on the Chiefs on fourth down. 2024, 52% of the time. So it's more than a coin flip for teams going for it on fourth down. 23 times in 2024, teams win. 46% success rate in 23. In 22, 57% success rate going for the Chiefs defense on fourth down. 21, 61% out of 31 attempts for other teams on fourth down. The year before, 65% of first down conversions from teams going for it on fourth down. The year before, these are all just Mahomes years starting. 2019, 51.6% success rate for teams going for it on fourth down. In the year before that, 66.7% of first downs were converted on fourth down. And that was only so frustrating. And this year you saw a lot of on third down, of course. Chiefs defense giving up on third down, but fourth down, again, only 6 first down conversions they gave in 23 attempts. 26.1% led the NFL. That was a stat, and as many questions as the media throws at Andy Reid, and some really dumb questions they throw at him, that's the one question they never asked him. I listened to every one of his press conferences. That was the one question. It was actually something good they were doing that was never asked about what this defense can do. But I will say this, Blake, and looked it up. Can you guess if I told you the top 10 teams at sacking the quarterback last year that had the most sacks in the NFL, the top 10, what would you say out of those 10 made the playoffs? How many of those teams would you say made the playoffs that were top 10 in sacks?
I'd say 3.
Huh? That's a good guess. 5. 50%.
Because I was like, I know.
I mean, it was like the Rams, and we're in there,
Rams,
the Falcons, the Saints, teams like that.
Denver.
They got a lot of sacks.
Denver obviously was number 1.
Yeah, Denver led the league the last 2 years.
Where was Houston at? Were they on the list?
Not as good. They had a lot of pressures and things like this.
Gotcha.
They're very good scoring defense. They were number 2 scoring defense, but they didn't get to the quarterback. They did against Josh Allen, what they sacked him 7-8 times when they played the Buffalo Bills. But, yeah, I mean, they've done it both ways. The Chiefs, that's one thing about the Chiefs. They've done it both ways. Like, they've won a ring with average defense, and they've won Super Bowls. Don't forget, against the Eagles in Super Bowl 57 and 58 against the Niners, they were number 2 in the NFL in sacks both those years. I mean, it's hard to believe because they haven't had that elite pass rusher. But you know what? You don't often need an elite pass rusher. You need a defensive coordinator like they have, the king of the 2 high safety look in blitzing out of it as a defensive coordinator for the Chiefs. Because they haven't had that elite edge. Yeah, they've got the push from Chris Jones, and he's had some nice seasons with them, but a cumulative effort from the guys like Leo Chanel, coming in with just a couple, Nick Bolton, inside linebacker, blitzes, a couple, blitzing from the safety or corner positions. All that stuff worked out. They did it by committee. Like, it was sacks by committee for the Chiefs, but those 2 years where they went back-to-back and then lost the next one, they were number 2 in the NFL in sacks those years without an elite pass rusher. Last year, or 2 years ago, when they lost the Eagles, they were 18th in the NFL in sacks. This year, none. The Seahawks, I think, were 8th in sacks. New England was tied with the Chiefs with only 35 sacks. They were 22nd in the NFL. So two teams in the Super Bowl weren't top 5 in the NFL in sacks.
Well, I've got a whole bunch of different gripes about the Patriots. I mean, that's a crazy stat alone because they did not have a good schedule to play, and they still weren't getting to the quarterback. They didn't face very many good O-lines.
No.
They still weren't getting to the quarterback.
Well, their offensive line it shows you the importance of a good offensive line. Drake May was sacked 21 times in the postseason. 21 times. You know what that led to? That led to 7 fumbles and 4 interceptions. Yeah, dude had 4 interceptions and 7 fumbles in his postseason. Matter of fact, they gave up 5 sacks, 5 sacks, 5 sacks, and then 6 sacks in the Super Bowl. That's insane. You're giving up 5 sacks a game? You can't win that way. I don't care how good Drake May is. You can't win that way when your quarterback is constantly on his back and fumbling the football because your offensive line sucks so bad.
I mean, that's almost akin to losing the turnover battle every single game in the playoffs and still somehow coming out the winner. That's so rare.
So you saw the news this morning. I was on Bob and Dusty at 6:45. We talked football and draft. We talk a lot of draft, of course. But the Chiefs converted Patrick Mahomes. They did it early, man. They did this news got out early.
First thing in the morning.
The Chiefs were number 1 over the cap. $50 million over the cap. What they did is they converted $44.05 million salary plus a $10.4 million roster bonus basically into a signing bonus. So $55 million, here you go. Creating $43.56 million of cap space. Now, keep in mind, when they get rid of Juwan Taylor, which I expect them to do, it's at $19.5 million, they'll be back under that cap. So to play in free agency, they'll be able to play. And that is good news because they're going to need to. They're going to need to. And I know that Tyreek Hill, we'll get to him. A lot of people, one day, I'd rather see Bradley Chubb from the Dolphins on the edge than Tyreek Hill, but they're going to have money to play with. Legal tampering in the NFL is the 9th through 11th of March. Free agency officially begins the 11th. But, yeah. Juwan Taylor, $19.5 million. They cut Mike Dana. That's $8.8. Or Drew Tranquill's $5.8 million against the cap. You can restructure even guys like Chris Jones. So the Chiefs are about 11 million over the salary cap right now, but that's going to come quickly down because you saw 43.56 million. Basically gone in a second, Blake. Gone in a second. They can do that thing. That contract Mahomes signed, that's the gift that keeps on giving, man. That is, because every year you can do a restructure. But yeah, it's handing him a check for 55 million.
It's probably one of the greatest team-friendly contracts, yet also player-beneficial contracts ever signed. It's got to be one of the greatest contracts ever signed.
We're way over the cap.
Well,
let's restructure Mahomes.
Yeah. I mean, it's wild. It's not quite on the Ohtani level, but when they did it and how they structured it, I mean, that is Class A, baby.
It's not even that, really. It's the fact the salary cap or the team cap numbers went from 279 million up to about 303
well,
this year.
And they foresaw that happening.
Yeah.
So that was great planning and timing on their part.
And last year they ended up with 9 million more than they thought. They thought they were going to get about 270 million, ended up being 279. And then boom, Trey Smith got his money. Then Karlaftis got his extension right when that happened, basically just right around when that happened, like within 48 hours of that happening. Yeah, it's going up $24 million. So you had that, and then you add some of these quick restructures they can do, and guess what? They can start playing ball. But I don't know if you need to go out and get receivers. Like through the draft, you can get one much more manageable. You draft one at 9, you get that fifth-year option on said receiver. You go out in free agency, and you dabble with the best receivers, you end up with a guy like Alec Pierce, a good receiver from Indy, not a great receiver, for about $25 million a year. That's what you get without drafting a wide receiver in the draft. Because they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to hit free agency. They're going to have to bring in a wayward veteran like Mike Evans. They're going to have to do something like that. They're going to get the Keenan Allen from the year before because they didn't do that. They're going to have to go out and get both and through the draft because last year's fourth-round pick hasn't done crap yet, Jalen Royals. Maybe he's good. Maybe he's not. We don't know. Like, we didn't find out any of those answers. It was a big question mark. Never got an answer last year.
Well, and that's what frustrated me, especially from the Jalen Royals position about last year. When the season was over and when they decided to basically shut everybody down, that's the time where you can throw the rookie in and figure out what he's got, figure out where he's at, and get a really good judge. And they would not let it happen. They finally took the reins off Braden Smith a little bit, which was great. We finally got to see, I think he's going to be hopefully a good key part of this upcoming season in that running back room. He's obviously going to be sharing time. He's not going to be the fullback, but the full-time back. But it made me so mad because as a team that's and as a fan base that's been yearning for more wide receivers, more production, and you've got this guy that you've been talking highly about, and you didn't play him all year, sniffed some special teams reps. I mean, what? That was the most aggravating thing that I think I watched all year. And I almost couldn't watch the end of the year because I knew he wasn't out there. And every time he wasn't.
And there was a time, too.
All you had to do was evaluate him because there was nothing to lose.
At the end of the year, you could have had him. When the Chiefs were eliminated, you could have seen what Jalen Royals was. It didn't matter.
It wouldn't have hurt anybody.
Chris Olotkin was going out there as your quarterback, and he was struggling throwing the ball past the line of scrimmage. So they were tanking for the top 10 pick. Well, they want to call it that or not, but they were. And I was fine with that.
But you can tank and evaluate at the same time. I think that's what was frustrating because he wasn't going to be your game changer. It wasn't like putting Jalen Royals in was going to start winning you games with Chris Oladokun. Like, it just made no sense to me.
Yeah. So we'll see which direction they go. We might end up with somebody like Juwan Jennings, somebody like that, former 7th-round pick. They're going to end up overpaying for whoever comes in at wide receiver. And speaking of that, we'll talk wide receivers next.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan.
Hey, it's Dusty Likens. No secret here. I am a golf guy, and I have to ask you if you're ready to ramp up the excitement because golf fans, BetMGM is making your next golf tournament winner bet even better with Second Chance. What's Second Chance? Well, you ever bet on your favorite golfer to win a tournament only to see them miss the green? Well, with this bet, MGM's Second Chance promotion will get you your stake back in cash if your tournament winner bet finishes in second instead. That's right. Simply bet on any player to win a scheduled golf tournament during a promotional week. If you're right, you win. But if your pick finishes in second instead of first, you get your stake back in cash. Watch your favorite players go for the win all season long and bet knowing you'll get your stake back if they finish second. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 and older only, Missouri only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards paid back in unrestricted withdrawable funds. Please play responsibly.
Have you been diagnosed with head or neck cancer? At Kansas City Proton Institute, we're delivering the future of cancer care with state-of-the-art proton therapy right here in KC. Proton therapy means increased precision, reducing side effects like dry mouth, difficulty swallowing, and the loss of taste as compared to conventional radiation. If you've been diagnosed, don't wait. Get your second opinion today and see KC's largest, most experienced proton therapy team. Visit kcpi.com. Kansas City Proton Institute, where you see the best in KC.
Sex, intimacy, love. These three things are critical to a good relationship, and that's the problem with erectile dysfunction. It often destroys sexual enjoyment and intimacy. It stresses the love between partners, often to the breaking point. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if you're suffering with ED, you likely know exactly what I'm talking about. But I also want you to know that ED doesn't have to impact your relationship anymore. At Heartland Men's Health, we're ED experts, with our focus on men's sexual health. We've treated tens of thousands of men and have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases. I promise you, if you're like most guys, you can get your sex life back, perhaps even performing like you haven't in years. So if ED is affecting you, it's time to get back to better sex, better intimacy, and deeper love. Call us. Just $99 gets you blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-323-8922. 800-323-8922. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-323-8922.
Welcome back to After Hours. Jay Binkley, Blake Schneiders. Tyreek Hill, that was the poll question the morning show had with Bob and Dusty and Mac. And their question was this morning, Blake, do you want Tyreek Hill back as a Chief? Yes, there was 553 votes. Yes, 40.1%. No, 59.9%. Still is pretty heavy for favor of 40%.
That's probably. I mean, I'm not surprised
no,
that it's that high. I did not vote.
What would you vote?
I was working.
What would you vote?
See, I think I'm kind of split. I would lean towards no, but I mean, I think the baggage is too much, no matter how much the decrease in money would be, because I'm like, well, you got to take a pay cut. You obviously can't be getting paid, whatever. I also am worried about the extent of the injury. Is he ever going to be able to reclaim where he was? He's also on the bad side of 30. So
yep.
I think all of that to say probably not.
Bad
But if
side
they
of 30
did,
at 32 with injury.
Yeah.
And he still has surgery to go.
Exactly.
And he may not be ready for week one. And we have no idea when he's going to even be ready.
Yeah, the extent of that damage for a dislocated kneecap plus some is not great. Now, I know advances in technology have been awesome on the medical side for players, but still I'm not, that doesn't jazz me up. So I would probably lean towards no. I'm not, if I woke up tomorrow and they signed Tyreek Hill, you know what, I'm not going to be mad, you know.
No, you like him. I liked when he played here too, but he is 32, and eventually you just have to let things go at some point. You just have to let things go because this team needs to go forward, man. They need to get better. They need to get younger. They need to get faster. They need to get better on offense. Signing a 32-year-old receiver that still has a surgery to go, that you're not even sure his health. You don't even know his speed at this point because his speed is what made him different. You take the top off of defense, his speed was elite. That's what made him different. Now, if you don't have that speed that you did, do you become more of an intermediate receiver? He could do it. He knows the routes. He runs very good routes. He runs routes. The hands, they've been questionable. He's got a lot of targets, but he was number 2 in the NFL in drops that year that he almost got over 2,000 yards. Remember the game in Germany? It was a Tyreek Hill putting the ball down when McDuffie hit it, and the Chiefs scored because of Tyreek Hill fumbling the football.
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of lean towards, I believe Gold was talking about this earlier in the week, where because of the looming surgery, I'd much rather wait, and I think some teams definitely will be waiting, and sign him like mid-season if that's the case. Don't sign him early and then
that's still a possibility.
Yeah, I would be way more partial to that idea and bring him on when you need him.
But I like his toughness. I like his toughness. I mean, I love the way he developed. But he's 32.
Yeah, so I would probably lean towards what Gold had highlighted, and then what we're talking about is maybe pause on that, see if you need him, see what you do in the draft, and if he's still there, he can't totally hurt you.
But
it's just a good security blanket.
And not a Jawan Jennings, it's going to be at least $22 million a year. This is a former 7th-round pick, so you're paying all that tax on a guy that you could have drafted, but you're paying Alec Pierce. Probably can get somewhere around the $25 million a year category. That's double what Breece Hall is going to be. If you want Breece Hall to be in the running back room, I mean, it's double what you have to pay. I'm more in line of $3.5 to $5 million on a guy like Tyler Algier. Put him in the running back room. You got Brashard. See if they can elevate the way they go with the new running back coach in DeMarco Murray. Eric Bieniemy coming back as offensive coordinator. Will it help the running game? And then draft a running back in, say, the 3rd round, like an Emmett Johnson at Nebraska. Draft somebody like that in the 3rd round. So you have the draft pick to go with the guy that's got 1,000 yards previously in the NFL that had to sit behind Bijan because they drafted him right after he goes for 1,000 yards in the NFL. And then you see what Brashard has. Rather see that running back room. If they bring back Kareem Hunt to get 1-yard runs, that's fine. I'm okay with that as long as you're not asking for anything more.
I would say for what his goal was and what his job was and what was asked of him, he was extremely efficient. But that's not that. What was asked of him should not be your running game plan ever going into a season. It's very specific what they asked him to do.
But this is where you get when you don't take chances on wide receivers.
Yeah.
When your only chance last year was Jalen Royals. In a year, you knew your receiver was going to be suspended. They knew Rice was going to get knocked at some point. Whether they thought maybe 4 games, 5 games, ended up being 6. But they knew that was going to happen. That's why I wanted Keenan Allen to be a member of the Chiefs last year. And it wasn't just during the season. This is something I wanted back in May when he was available.
I remember you talking about it.
Yeah, I wanted Keenan. Just, he had a good year with the Chargers. Could have been good here. Would have been just fine because they didn't have anybody. Because you knew Rice was going to be suspended. So who's going to be that guy taking his place? It clearly wasn't Jalen Royals.
The start of the year for Keenan Allen was hot last year. And then tapered off, obviously, as they had their ups and downs. But
I don't know.
By the way,
But I would not take Tyreek back. I think they can spend money elsewhere on the wide receiver position to
I'm
get
with
younger.
You. Where are you pulling your predictions of these contracts for free agency from?
Just looking at
and who's going to set the market for this is
kind
my
of
question.
where they set what they'd be looking for. Look at Juwan Jennings, 3 years, 65 to 70 million, comes at about 22 a year, somewhere in that.
Who's going to be the precedent setter for the wide receiver group in the free agent market though?
Luckily, they got a new receiver coach, so that helps.
Or would it be Debo? Debo's 30.
Debo, yeah, that still concerns me. Alec Pierce is going to get big money for it. Yeah. I would have taken Debo right away. I mean, a lot earlier, because he would have been awesome in this offense a lot earlier from now. But we'll get to that. Don't forget Ron Kopp. We're talking draft coming up at about 7:30. Our phone number, 913-586-7965. Also, the J Southland Tow Service text line, 913-586-7965. Speaking of receivers, I got something funny for you next, Blake.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan.
Advent Health welcomes the KC Golf Show February 27th through March 1st at the Overland Park Convention Center. Test drive golf's big brands, shop 100 exhibits, and swing and putt for prizes. Front door rounds of golf and tickets at kansascitygolfshow.com.
I could barely run a mile prior to going to QC Kinetics. Doctors have all told me, hey, you are going to need knee replacements.
But QC Kinetics gave David great news.
We're going to give you the opportunity to have not one, but 2 healthy knees, and we don't have to cut you open.
And after David's regenerative treatments at QC Kinetics?
Since I've gone to them, I run 20, 30 miles a week. I really wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't for QC Kinetics.
From knee pain to Ironman training.
It's a no-brainer.
Now it's your turn. Call QC Kinetics to book your free consultation today.
Call QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. 816-412-6299.
The excitement of the Winter Games is well underway. You want to know why betting the Winter Games on FanDuel makes sense? Because you got the game lines. You're keeping an eye on USA hockey and Canada hockey. You're looking at the medal counts and who has the most gold medals, who will end up with the most gold, who will have the total medal count lead at the end of this thing. You want to find your angle on the events you care about most. And maybe that's bobsled. We had a guest on just last week talking about bobsledding. FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to the action. The Winter Games are on, and there's no better way to follow them than with a bet on FanDuel. Curling matches that start slow and somehow get tense fast. Bobsled runs that go by in a flash. Speed skating decided by inches. And hockey games that feel a little different from the opening faceoff, and so much more. The Winter Games are packed with action, different events, different contenders each and every day. You'll want to keep up with all the action on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com/local to get started. That's FanDuel.com/local. FanDuel, play your game. FanDuel Sportsbook's the official sportsbook of 96.5 The Fan. 21 in President, Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
DQ presents the Spicy Menu. For a limited time, try the new Flamethrower Chicken Strip Basket for $6.99 with spicy, bold strips that heat you up. Served with a side of famous DQ soft serve as a dip to cool you down. That's right, dip those spicy chicken strips right into soft serve, plus fries and toast, all for just $6.99. And add a new pineapple lemonade sparkler or cooler made with tahini. It's the limited time only Spicy Menu. Get it delivered in the DQ app. Happy tastes good. Participation may vary.
Every morning, we rise and shine, make breakfast, and brush away the night's rest. These routines help us start the day off right. Nature-Made vitamins are a simple step in that daily care regimen. Multivitamins with daily essentials, clinically studied probiotics for gut health support, magnesium to help relax the body. Nature-Made is made to care for you every day. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this.
Car, truck, or motorcycle wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
Welcome back, Jay Binkley, Blake Schneiders. Team USA with a nice overtime win today in the quarterfinals at the U.S. Olympic, or not the U.S. Olympic, the Olympic Games for Team USA. It was fun to watch. And then the hockey's awesome, man. Having the NHL players playing, of course, you're going to have the WBC with pro baseball players here coming right up. So we're getting a lot of team sports going at it. It's going to be a lot of fun. 7 Royals will be in the WBC with various places, including Bobby Witt Jr., starting for Team USA. That's going to be a ton of fun. 913-586-7965 is the phone number. 913-586-7965 is the J Southland Tow Service text line. Let's go to Shawnee and talk to one Big T. What's up, Choo Choo Man?
Hey, man, doing well, Bink. Enjoying the dialogue tonight. I'm glad you got that U.S. hockey in there. I thoroughly enjoyed that. USA,
that was fun.
USA, baby.
But
Bink,
awesome game.
It was cool to watch. I've been enjoying not just that, but all the Olympics. I really like watching that. But, Bink, you're touching on some good stuff. I called you and Chris a couple weeks ago, and I was really drumming for Love, the running back, and I get it. But if they don't go that direction, but we've got to get somebody in that room. I like the Algiers guy. I think that's a good suggestion. Another guy, Devontae, is it Devontae Williams from the Cowboys? He might be an option.
Oh, Devontae?
Yeah. I don't. He had a good year.
Travis
with them.
Etienne would be about $7 million, something like that. I just think of Algier, and I always liked Algier. Back when the Chiefs were drafted, I was like, hey, this BYU guy, it makes a lot of sense for Andy Reid. Was tremendous in college, both catching out of the backfield as well. Had 1,000 yards in the NFL. And let's not forget that, Priest Holmes, once upon a time, I'm not saying he's the next Priest Holmes, but he once had 1,000 yards for the Ravens. Then they had a guy like Jamal. And Jamal took over, and Priest backed up him. Well, like Algier did with Bijan Robinson, gets his chance and shines. Not saying that happens, but it's happened before.
No, I like him. That's a good, and he's a touchdown scoring machine. I cashed a lot of anytime touchdowns on that cat, so that would be a nice move. But now I think with Flea Rice and all his nefarious ways, being on the police blotter and being in the news, I just don't know if this is going to end well. I don't want to cut him. We'll just have to play that out. See, I know a lot of people just want to get rid of him, but we just
play
can't
it
do
out.
that. We got to play it out, see what happens. But now, Bink, I'm on board with the receiver now too, man. What about a couple of these names? I don't know about Carnell Tate. Some people are off him. I kind of like him. He's big, a fast guy too. But I want Mekhi Lemon, Bink. I want that guy. If he's there, the Chiefs should draft him. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think he'd be a good move. And then, Bink, you mentioned some free agent receivers, and I like some of those names. But and I'm not on board. I'm not on board or on board with off or on with Tyreek Hill. I would certainly take him back, but he's you touched on it. The money, the injury. Is he going to be the same player? He's older.
Is he going to play?
Is he going to play even? We don't know this. Maybe that's something they could do later. But what about this move? His teammate, he played a year before at Tennessee. He got cut. Westbrook Incan. He's not in everybody's name, but he's a touchdown scoring machine. The year before, Tennessee had 12 in the red zone. He's a big physical guy. He would be maybe just a part of that room, not a number one or two, but a part of that room. Another big guy we could use. What do you think about that name? And I'll take your answer on the air after I hang up. But, boy, baseball's coming up. I've been listening to some Vern. I can't wait for some Royals baseball.
Good old Vern.
As always, let's go Royals. Choo-choo! Choo-choo-choo!
The only Tennessee guy I'd take a chance on in the draft is Chris Brazzell. Not free agent wide receivers, but drafting Chris Brazzell out of Tennessee. But Mekhi Lemon, I'm with you there. As a matter of fact, Big T, his last 175 attempts to him, he's dropped just 3 times. He's 5'11", but he plays much bigger. Some guys do. Tyreek Hill always played bigger than he was. MVS played smaller than he was. He's 6'4", but he played like he's 5'10". He played much smaller than he was. That's what sometimes wide receivers do. But as far as beating man, creating wide catch areas, that's Carnell Tate. That's Mekhi Lemon. They're the 2 best route runners in the draft, or at least should be. The 2 best hands in the draft are Carnell Tate and Mekhi Lemon, something the Chiefs are desperately needing, guys that can beat man coverage and guys that can actually catch the football, because that's what you do in football. You catch it, and you don't drop it on 3rd and 5 and 3rd and 6, and you keep it going. As I mentioned, the defense gave plenty of opportunities for the offense to get back on the field. They were number 1 in the NFL on 4th down. Teams kept going against them. You know what? They'd stop them, and they got on the field more. That offense did, but the offense couldn't do anything with the football once they had it. I think we forget just how bad this offense was at times. It's not like at week 4, week 5, you say, man, we got nobody to catch the ball. We can't be man coverage. We can't catch it. Well, in the draft, you wanted Reuben Bain. You wanted an edge. You wanted an edge at 9, not a wide receiver. So you see what you got. But Tyler Algier, by the way, his last 2 years at BYU, 1,130 yards, then 1,606, had 28 catches for 199 as well. So, yeah. Man, I'd throw a dart on him. It's not going to cost you much in free agency unless you want Breece Hall and you talk me into that. That's fine. But if they draft a wide receiver at 1, then you kind of rebuild your offense, and it looks different. But again, availability means everything. It's one thing to have a good name. It's great. Having a good name is awesome. What can they do? We have the combine coming up here on the 23rd next week when the combine starts. And a lot of guys will separate then. Matter of fact, these mock drafts will all be thrown in the trash when you see what guys run in their 40, how they handle the combine. Do they measure at the combine? Do they not? Is there something to worry about? Why is this guy not measuring? Was he hiding? So you find out a lot about players. We already had the Shrine Bowl, Senior Bowl, all that. So now's the next step. I call these the best 3 months in the NFL because how good you're going to be in October, how good you're going to be in November and December and September and all that right now. Because you have the combine, you got free agency, and you got the draft. Yeah, you can sprinkle in a few things at the trade deadline, but we know how that works. It doesn't necessarily work for teams. You build your teams right now. Let's go to Josh in Kansas City. What's up, Josh?
Hey, Bink. Appreciate you taking my phone call. I just want to say you're one of my favorites over at the station. I enjoy listening to you.
Thanks, man.
But, yeah, so the reason why I called, I just want to get your thoughts on, I know you kind of touched on it just a second ago about the predictability that the Chiefs were dealing with last year, how, like when the defense gave them the ball back late in the game and, they couldn't move the ball because it just seemed like they were so damn predictable every single time. And
no, they were. The funny thing is when you're getting the ball on fourth down, you're getting great field position. It's like a turnover because teams aren't going for it back in their own territory on the 10 or 15. No, they're going for it when it's basically around midfield. But they were flipping it at 26%, which was number one in the NFL, with the 12th most attempts going against them. So they were putting the offense back out there in great field position. Problem is they just couldn't do crap with it.
Yeah. And another thing I wanted to ask you about is, and I know that the Chiefs picking up pick 9, it's a premium pick. It's a pick that the Chiefs should take a player and who's going to make an impact day one. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It just seems like over the last few years when the Chiefs have drafted a receiver, as late as the third or fourth round, it just seems like they can't get on the field. Jalen Rose is a perfect example for that. And how much trust do you have with Andy Reid? If we do take a wide receiver at 9, do you have a lot of trust in the coaching staff to actually put him on the field for a bulk of those plays? And you saw Igbuka all year making plays early in the year.
Yeah, I get the hesitation. Andy Reid doesn't have the best track record with rookie receivers, even though Deshaun Jackson had a really nice rookie year with the Eagles when he was there. And let's face it, Xavier Worthy had 59 catches as a rookie because he had to, because everybody else was hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they have done it. They have done it. I appreciate the call. So they have done it before. When sometimes when your hand is forced, you do it, but you don't necessarily want to go into the draft looking for starters.
No.
That's the one thing you don't want to do.
You'd love it if you get it.
Well, last year they needed offensive line depth, obviously. Jalen Moore was the guy they signed. This could be our starter. Then Josh Simmons happened to be there and fell to him, a guy that would have been top 10 pick had he not been hurt. And all of a sudden they get him at the end of the first round. It's like, whoa, look what just happened getting Simmons. And that's the direction they went, which I understand that's the direction they went. But, yeah, top 10 pick. You don't get these very often because when your team's good, you don't get these. They constantly draft. That's why it's hard to grade what Veach has done, because those are essentially second-round picks. Because only about 12 to 18 guys get first-round grades. The rest of them are essentially second-round picks. And when you're constantly picking at the end of the first round, things change. They get in their top 10 pick. Last time they had a top 10 pick, it was Patrick Mahomes. That worked out pretty good, didn't it? So we'll see what they do with the top 10 pick. That's why the pressure's on. The pressure's on. And this is not a great draft. It's not a great draft at all. 27, it looks like a lot better draft than this. As a matter of fact, it's pick accumulation for next year. Because even like Trent McDuffie, that name's been, tossed around. They trade with the Rams or not. Well, that's fine, but just keep this in mind. You're essentially trading Trent McDuffie, even though it's a first rounder in name. That's essentially a second rounder with certain teams. Because at the end of the first round might as well be a second round pick. So you're not getting, quote, that value because this draft isn't that deep. It's just not that good. And so, if you get 20th, maybe, that's the thing. It would probably be beneficial for the Chiefs. Actually, they could even trade back because some of the second-tier guys are better than the first-tier guys or just as good. But you don't get 9th picks very often. That's what makes it so tough.
Well, and what would you rather have? If the draft is not depth-heavy this year, would you rather trade Trent McDuffie this year just to get a second-round pick essentially equivalently, or save him next year, then get your depth draft?
If it give me a piece for him, I'm just curious because GMs will say that, they'll say it. I'm sure you'll hear it a lot when GMs talk, because they'll be talking here soon. Filling out your roster, have it basically set so you're drafting for luxury. They're not to have starters. But again, I've said the Chiefs have needed starters in the past. But to go into the draft thinking we've got to draft a receiver to be a number one receiver, like that's a scary proposition. Whenever you're drafting somebody to be a starter, and I get it, they should be on the 9th pick, should be on the field day one. They've got to be. But you don't want that mindset, well, we got to do it. But the Chiefs might be in a situation where they have to get somebody to be on that field in that situation. I never played What's Funny. We'll do that next.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan.
Legendary doesn't happen by chance. It happens because it's what BetMGM does. Sign up for BetMGM using bonus code DUSTY and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you do not win your first bet. Get into hockey, basketball, your favorite winter sports with same-game parlays. Live betting, earn BetMGM reward points on every bet. Take advantage of football offers found nowhere else, like a second chance on a first touchdown bet, and keep an eye out for rewards dropping in your account throughout the season. Sign up again with bonus code DUSTY and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you do not win your first bet. BetMGM, make it legendary. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 and older only. Missouri only. New customer offer. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Bonus bets that expire in 1 to 7 days. Please gamble responsibly.
Men, we all know how important sex is in a relationship, both for you and your partner. But erectile dysfunction ruins sex, which can often have serious impacts on your relationship as well. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if ED is a problem in your life, you understand the impacts it has on you and the one you love. But I'm here to tell you that ED is a treatable condition, and almost without exception, you can have really good sex again. At Heartland Men's Health, we're experts in treating ED. We've treated tens of thousands of men with protocols that are effective in well over 90% of cases, which means if you're like most guys, good sex will be the norm. You could even last up to an hour or more and bring a level of intimacy for you and your partner that might just astound you both. It's time to have really good sex again. So call us. Just $99 gets you blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices: Overland Park, Independence, and North Kansas City.
Hey guys, it's Rob Britton from The Drive on 96.5 The Fan, and we're excited to announce the launch of Beyond the Pitch KC, a limited podcast series documenting the run-up to the upcoming World Cup with our friends over at 98.1 KMBZ.
And I'm Scott Parks from Dane & Parks on KMBZ. Beyond the Pitch, KC features the biggest names who helped make the World Cup in Kansas City possible. And there was a lot of work, plus the major storylines heading into this summer's tournament.
This is so much more. This isn't just a podcast about soccer.
No, you're right, Rob. It's a podcast about Kansas City, for Kansas City, telling the story of how our town is hosting the world's biggest sporting event.
New episodes drop every Wednesday starting on March 4th, along with video clips that can be seen on 96.5 The Fan and KMBZ social channels.
So make sure you subscribe. Download Beyond the Pitch KC with Rob Brenton and myself, Scott Parks, on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I am grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game.
Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Beyond the Pitch KC. New episodes on Wednesdays starting March 4th. 96.5 The Fan. KFNC FM and AM. HD1 and HD2 Kansas City. An Odyssey Sports Station.
So not only do we have Team USA hockey, Blake, both the men's and women's, but you've got the WBC coming up, followed by the World Cup. Should keep you busy till Chiefs season, should it?
Well, I'm actually super going to be tuned in for the World Baseball Classic this year. Not only Team America, but also Team Italy. Because Mr. Caglione and the Pasquatch, baby.
The Pasquatch. We'll get to it's Lance Zierlein, by the way, joins me tomorrow night, Blake. Lance does all those combine profiles when you go to NFL.com, and he's already released his top players through Next Gen Stats, his top overall positions, his highest graded players. He's got Arvell Reese from Ohio State, then Mansour Delane, the corner from LSU. Number 3, David Bailey. Number 4, Carnell Tate is the 4th best prospect, followed by Fernando Mendoza, Jeremiah Love, then Mekhi Lemon, then Ruben Bain, Moyaga, the right tackle out of Miami, and then Caleb Downs, the safety. I do like Caleb Downs a lot. It'd be great if they were set at running back, they're set at wide receiver. You know, getting a guy like Caleb Downs, you don't have many opportunities to get a guy like that sitting right there. And I know you hear the Kyle Hamilton reference a lot with Baltimore because that 22 draft, Aiden Hutchinson was part of that draft too, but I'd still take Kyle Hamilton over Aiden Hutchinson. I think he's that good. And Kyle, they use everywhere. Safety, he'll play nickel. They'll set him up on the edge. He'll do a lot of things. But there's a difference, though. Kyle Hamilton's 6'4", 220. Caleb Downs, 6', 205. A little bit of a difference. But in Caleb's defense, he's an awesome punt returner as well. I don't think he gets near the credit for being a punt returner. Caleb Downs only has 10 punt returns in college, both at Alabama and at Ohio State. But out of those 10, 2 of them are touchdowns. So he's got a touchdown at Bama as a punt returner. He's got one at Ohio State. Not that they would ask him to do that because he's getting a lot of snaps on defense, obviously. But the Chiefs are in the market looking for punt returners to help those football teams. So in a pinch, a Caleb Downs would be good right there. But I think safety, nickel, a guy that you can line up. But the difference between Kyle Hamilton is you can throw him there at off-ball linebacker, stand him up on the edge. You can put him in a nickel. You can do everything with that dude because he's so big and so fast and so tough. There was a hell of a pick at number 14 when they got him. But I do like some Caleb Downs. Not going to lie. I do like some Caleb Downs. Just not, I don't think they're in a position to get a Caleb Downs at this point.
They don't have that. They don't possess the luxury, unfortunately, to draft a quality safety.
NFL.com, keep in mind this is like the official combine tracker when they post their numbers. It's the best place to follow the combine is what the NFL.com have because they have live results. So you can go different positions. Whenever the different position groups go, you can go wide receiver to tight end, offensive line, defensive end. You can check them all out, see what they're doing. And the numbers are thinner now because everybody used to do the bench. Everybody used to do the vertical. Everybody used to do all those events. Now you got to kind of pick and choose because nobody does all the events like they used to. But that's becoming such a fun event. I've always liked the combine. I don't know how you like it, but I've always thought it was fun.
I very much love the combine, and it does make me pretty frustrated when guys all of a sudden are starting to come out and say, well, I'm not going to run. I'm not going to test. I'm not going to do this. And
I hate that.
It just is like, you're either hiding something, but I can also see the flip side argument sometimes when they're like, I played on the field. I did what I did on the field. Use my game tape, because I also think some people compensate in the draft where they rely too heavily on what the combine numbers did, and they don't do a great melding of game tape plus combine.
Like the Raiders, they would always go fast.
Yeah, they would pick fast guy or great giant leg on a punter.
The Chiefs have always kind of stayed away from that, even though Dontari Poe kind of fit that category of a guy that dominated the combine, but he had
I was going to say, he had a pretty solid career here in Kansas City.
But it was very tough to find footage of him doing something in Memphis. Like, it was tough to find him doing anything. So
he was just
his
freak,
combine
man.
did stand out because of that size, being that athletic. But December 26th, because they get there earlier for interviews and everything else. But Thursday, February 26th, next Thursday, defensive linemen and linebackers. The 27th on Friday, defensive backs go as far as they run. The tight ends go as well. That Saturday, quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs. That'll be I think that'll be very high ratings in Kansas City. Hopefully, quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs going. Then on Sunday, you have the offensive line. But Lance Zierlein, who puts all those bios together on all the participants at the Combine, tomorrow night. We'll talk to him tomorrow night about 8:30. He'll join us later as Ron Cobb joins us tonight. You ready for something funny?
Been waiting.
Okay. Mike Evans. Mike Evans, who's going to be a free agent, right? Older, 33, but a guy that, would be a nice fit in Kansas City. But there's one thing about Kansas City that's just different for some guys, right? It's different because they're good at getting the ring chasers because there's always a chance the Chiefs can go get a ring, right? So that's always one of the allures for free agents. Hey, come to Kansas City and get a ring. That's what the guys you want at the end of their career. If they never won one, that's the guys you want. You don't want someone just looking for a payday. You want somebody who wants to win a ring. Problem is if they already have one. And that's why these Chiefs players that can just go off and go somewhere else, they've already got one or two rings. So some of them even three, but those aren't leaving. But the guys with two rings that can go out in free agency. So here was Colin Cowherd's show. Remember Jason McIntyre? He does that show with him. And yeah, Chiefs fans definitely know who he is because he always craps on the Chiefs. All the time craps on the Chiefs. This was him and Cowherd discussing Mike Evans. This is funny.
He's a pro. He's probably does he get Hall of Fame votes? I would say yes.
I think he has to, right? Obviously, last season, had some injuries, only played 8 games. So some people are going to be like, well, I don't know if I want Mike Evans. Listen, that he's going to be motivated to chase a Super Bowl. Hasn't sniffed one in Tampa.
Yeah.
Finals.
And then you have Cowherd at the end saying, yeah, those two guys just said Mike Evans is going to be looking for a place to get a ring. Mike Evans won a Super Bowl ring with Tom Brady when the Buccaneers beat the Chiefs. So there's two guys that are professionals in this organization. That's why when these people write things and stuff and you take it to heart, man, follow the Nate Taylors of the world, the guys that are at every Chiefs practice, that live and eat and sleep Kansas City Chiefs, the guys here on the station that's all they concentrated on the Chiefs, because there's Cowherd and there's McIntyre talking about Mike Evans needs to go chase a Super Bowl ring because he doesn't have one.
Completely forgetting
he's got one.
Completely forgetting about the fact that he played with Tom Brady and they won a Super Bowl against the Chiefs. It reminds me, because these are nationally syndicated guys, and it's hilarious.
Top of our profession with Cowherd, and he goes, yeah.
Yeah,
you could have corrected him right there and said, he's got one, dude.
Right there. That reminds me of, I think it was Stephen A. Smith. It was Stephen A. Smith. This was years back, but he forgot that Derek Johnson didn't play for the Chiefs anymore. I think he was ultimately retired at this point after going to the Raiders. And Stephen A. was giving the breakdown for the weekly preview of the game, and he was like, "Well, you got Derek Johnson on offense," and then he ended his take. Somebody was like, yeah, Derek Johnson's no longer on that team. I don't even think he's in the league. But anyway, and they moved on. It's even guys like that on the national syndicate level. And yeah, people make mistakes all the time. We're human. But silly stuff like that, especially when you're making it a point. That's the point of your topic. It wasn't an offhanded comment. That was the point of the topic. That was the topic of the point they were making, and they were wrong.
One of the text line here is talking about the gadget players. The guys that kind of fit Andy Reid's system. It's not normally the 6'3" or 6'4" guys, even though MVS was 6'4". Juju's above 6 foot, so there's that category. But you can't. I get tired of it as well. I want this. Carnell Tate's 6'3". That's what makes a difference. I know people like Jordan Tyson from Arizona State. The problem with Jordan Tyson is he's only played 40% or 45% of his games in college. He misses all the time. He's had torn ACL he's dealt with. He's dealt with shoulder problems. Chiefs don't need that. They need a guy to actually play. They need someone that's going to go out there and actually play football. I love the name and type, but I will say this in Mekhi Lemon's defense. He does play bigger than what he is. That would be the only reason to go with somebody 6 foot. It's dangerous. Don't like it. I wish they would branch out to the taller, bigger wide receivers that you can really get when it comes to the second wave of wide receivers, something I don't think. Well, they may wait on it if they go edge with the first pick. They grab a receiver later on. The problem with trading, because the trading, if you really trade back, it might behoove the Chiefs actually to do it if they value like a Chris Brazel or a Denzel Boston, somebody like that at receiver, as long as they pick up somebody. And I know it's limited picks with 6, and you got to be careful with your picks, but this is why for years, this is why they're in the position they're in, because they haven't drafted wide receiver talent. They've done a great job of getting defensive backs in the later rounds. They haven't with wide receivers. That's one thing they haven't done, because they threw one dart at Sky Moore and said, "You're a dude," in the second round. He didn't pan out. Threw a dart at Rashee Rice. That definitely worked out for you his rookie year. Then, of course, the injuries and the suspension, everything else comes after that. But that was their only dart. That was the draft in Kansas City when Rice was taken. Only he and Wanye Morris were the only offensive guys taken for the Chiefs that year. 5 of the 7 picks were on defense. This year, they threw a dart at Jalen Royals. But you throw multiple darts, and you get a Juwan Jennings, a guy that's going to be making $22 million a year. He's former 7th-round pick. You get a Puka Nacua when you throw more than one dart at wide receivers. Maybe they work out, maybe they don't, but at least you're taking a chance to grab a receiver, something very near and dear to your heart, Blake.
I mean, if you look at the history of the Chiefs, before Tyreek Hill, who also was a 5th-round pick, who they took a flyer on, who was the last
who never even went to the combine?
Who was the last stud wide receiver the Chiefs as an organization before
Macklin?
Now that they didn't draft Macklin.
No. I said, you're talking through the draft.
Through the draft. Dwayne Bowe?
Probably Bowe. As far as drafted guys,
yeah. As far as guys who they have pinned in the draft. I know they tried Jonathan Baldwin, freak athlete, but that obviously never worked out. I mean, that's just not their MO, and they've never been an amazing. It doesn't matter the regime that they're under. They just never, as an organization, they just haven't.
But it's never too late to say never, right? Never too late to say never, because they've been bad at quarterbacks.
Also, people keep,
but they got it right with Mahomes.
People
so
keep bringing up that we're forgetting about Worthy being a 1st-round pick. Yes, we know Worthy was a 1st-round pick. That's not what we're talking about, though. We're talking about guys who have proven studs and prolonged careers. Worthy, I would say, was stagnant this year and even maybe took a slight step back. Maybe that was because of the wide receiver coach. Maybe that was because of the lack of innovation on offense. But that's not what we're talking about. We haven't forgot about it.
Well, here's every receiver drafted since 2018. Tremont Smith in 2018 never even made the team. McCole Hardman and Cornell Powell back in 21 was the only receiver they took. 2022, Sky Moore was the only receiver they took. 2023, the only wide receiver they took was Rashee Rice. 2024, the only wide receiver they took was Xavier Worthy. And this past year, obviously, Jalen Royals, the only wide receiver they've taken. So they've kind of stayed away from the wide receiver position in the draft. That's definitely something that's got to be addressed.
I mean, that just cannot continue.
When you have, quote, one of the best offensive minds in the history of the game, Andy Reid, you've got one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the game with 17 playoff wins at quarterback. It's okay to draft a receiver. It's okay to give said quarterback weapons. Like, I know he's the magic man. I know he makes everybody better, but, come on. Will Kelsey come back or not? Because one former GM said that he should just go ahead and retire. Chiefs don't need him. I'll explain next.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan.
Low testosterone can be a real problem for many men. It causes poor sleep patterns, decreased energy, low sex drive, and it makes it really hard to stay in shape. And as we all know, a healthy body is very important to our overall health and well-being. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if some or all of these symptoms sound like you, we can likely help you be done with low T. We can also help you lose weight, support your metabolism, improve your gains in the gym, and more with our new targeted body composition plans featuring GH peptides, NAD+, GLP-1s, PDA, and more. Our low T protocols, applied in conjunction with our body composition plans, will help most men see real improvements, true weight loss, higher energy, improved sleep, stronger workouts, and a renewed sex drive as well. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on treatment the same day, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com.
Featured therapies are compounded and have not been evaluated nor approved by the FDA. Provider prescription required. See website for details.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-284-1238. 800-284-1238. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-284-1238.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hola, amigos! It's a big noise. Brad Evans from BetMGM tonight. Listen Monday through Friday starting at 6 p.m. Eastern on Westwood One Sports as we cover the biggest sports stories from coast to coast. Get insights on the NFL playoffs, college basketball conference races, and more. Download the Odyssey app now and listen from anywhere. BetMGM tonight, live and interactive, presented by BetMGM. Tune in, Team Huevos.
You already listen to 96.5 The Fan, but are you following us? Our Instagram is loaded with show clips, breaking news, mock drafts, and content you can't get on the air, like Thy Royal Decree and Chiefs Take Tuesday. Go to Instagram, search for The Fan 965, and hit that follow button. If you don't do this immediately, Dusty has threatened to do a photo shoot in a bathing suit. Kansas City's FM sports station, 96.5 The Fan.
One texter's going back and forth saying the Patriots never had somebody.
I was reading it.
That's what happens when you have an elite quarterback. They can do that. And then said texter says, I don't remember Julian Edelman doing anything special. Okay. Well, he had 1 year, he had 105 catches. He had 92 catches 1 year. He had 98 catches 1 year. He had 100 catches 1 year. He won 3 Super Bowls, and he won a Super Bowl MVP. So this guy's won 3 rings, and he's won an MVP, and has 4 years right around 100 catches. I'd say that's something for a guy that was drafted to be a wide receiver that was a former quarterback at Kent State. Yeah, they had Randy Moss, who's in the Hall of Fame, and, of course, they had Wes Welker doing their things. They didn't win rings with those guys, of course, but sometimes that happens when you have an elite quarterback. There's nothing problem with giving weapons.
Well, and an elite tight end in Rob Gronkowski.
Very elite.
And a different offensive scheme. The Patriots also had really good defense at that time, and like you said, elite quarterback play.
Well, the problem is, too, is you have a tight end, you don't know if he's coming back. He's not under contract. Yes, Travis Kelce was elite, but he's going to be 37 years old. So, I mean, that's the difference. Because Travis Kelce has led this team in receiving yards the last 2 years. You think that's going to happen this year? Like, if he doesn't come back for this team, then what do you have? Because they've relied on Travis Kelce to do things. Because even though the wide receivers haven't done it, Kelce has. Matter of fact, last decade, it's been Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce leading in yards. Even when Tyreek Hill would go off for 1,400 yards or something, there was Travis Kelce with 1,300 yards. I mean, he was an elite tight end dump-off guy for the Kansas City Chiefs, always getting 90 catches or more. Had 7 straight years of 1,000 yards. I mean, that was a big fixture for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, all of a sudden, when he's 37 and may or may not play for you, what if he doesn't play? What if he didn't play and then Rice gets suspended again? Then what do you have? I mean, you want Mahomes to go out there and throw it and catch it too? I mean, what do we want him to do? But to say the Patriots didn't have anybody, I think is short-sighted because they did. But again, when you have a quarterback like Tom Brady, the best it's ever been, you can sometimes relax on that. But I'm sure Peyton Manning was pretty happy to have Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison.
We are also talking about the two exceptions because what Brady was doing when you're talking about the Edelmans and the Welkers, even though Welker was a 1,000-yard receiver as well, and so was Edelman.
I mean,
but you also had elite tight ends.
We could do what it could have, should have.
But you're picking the two.
Trent Dilfer has a Super Bowl ring. Do you think that was part of what the Ravens did? No.
But you're also picking the two outstanding examples of that because the Chiefs and the Patriots were very similar. Really good defenses, elite tight ends, elite quarterbacks, and guys who were 700-yard receivers. So we're also picking those two outliers and using that as like an example of, it can be done. Okay, well, it's only been really done one other time. And then all these other factors play into it. Like most good teams would love to have a stud wide receiver. I think we've beaten this dead horse. But, I mean,
okay,
those are the two outlying examples.
The one that's pointed out, obviously, just going right over the fact that Edelman had a couple of years where he had over 100 catches.
Yeah.
Just totally going over that. Or 98, almost at 100, and that's with an elite tight end, and Robert Gronkowski. Totally going over that. But again, Texter, if you really want to text something, text me who's going to lead this team in catches next year. Who's going to lead this team in yards next year?
And will it sniff 100?
I'm dying to find that out. Here's what Mike Tannenbaum, former GM in the National Football League, said on ESPN today about Kelce.
I would move on from Travis Kelce, and let me tell you why. When you're in the front office, you have to project what a player is going to do, not what they've done. I've made that mistake countless times in my career, and Travis Kelce is a first-ballot Hall of Famer. But when you watch him and make an honest and sober evaluation of his 2025 performance, clearly his best days are behind him. We talked about their lack of explosive plays. If I was Kansas City, I would make the right, albeit difficult decision, move on from Travis Kelce, try to get younger, faster, more explosive at the tight end position.
No wonder he's not a GM anymore because he had a better year last year than he did the year before, even though he had more catches, because he led the Kansas City Chiefs in yards and catches the last 2 years.
He was top 5 tight end this past year.
So he was, and he was top 7 in a lot of different categories with tight ends. I mean, he had a good year. I mean, you can't not recognize the fact that he did have a good year. And yes, I think that matters a ton if he comes back, because if he doesn't, they're really hurting for catches. They're really hurting for guys to catch the football.
I will say, one thing that I think is leaning me towards he is one, it's taken so long to hear from him, and two, this is the longest offseason he will have had in almost 10 years.
All these guys, I mean, just look at they being on the AFC title game or Super Bowl. I mean, they actually get an offseason. So
it's like he'll have the most time he's had in maybe 10 years to actually recoup, recover, get his body back, feel healthy. So I actually think it bodes well more for him to come back because I think he's going to be, I mean, yes, he's older, but he's getting way more time than he's gotten in the past 10 years. So
there's a quarterback question as well. We'll get to that later on. But Ron Kopp from ArrowheadPride.com. We talked NFL draft and free agency with Ron next.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan.
Hey, it's Rex here with RexBuysKC.com, your local KC home buyer. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, write this number down, 816-330-6000. I'm a private real estate investor, not some hedge fund or large national chain. My family and I live right here in KC. I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at RexBuysKC.com, we're improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000, or go to RexBuysKC.com. That's RexBuysKC.com, and I look forward to working with you.
That's another amazing run by Team USA.
Mom, think I'll be on Team USA one day?
Well, I'll take this one.
What? Are you speaking to us?
Yes, and to answer your question, anything's possible, especially with Xfinity.
So, I can be the best snowboarder ever?
Well, I can't guarantee that, But Xfinity can guarantee that your internet price won't change for 5 years.
Okay. What if I practice every day?
Then maybe you'll be snowboarding for Team USA at the next Olympic Winter Games. And Mom, you'll still be paying the same price for Wi-Fi.
Ooh, really stuck the landing there. It's the Xfinity Gold Medal Celebration. Now through February 22nd, get our best price on gig Wi-Fi for 5 years guaranteed, just $50 a month. Plus, get Peacock Premium included for 2 years. That's a $10.99 value per month. Xfinity. Imagine that. Proud partner of Team USA. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Actual speeds vary.
Sex, intimacy, love. These three things are critical to a good relationship, and that's the problem with erectile dysfunction. It often destroys sexual enjoyment and intimacy. It stresses the love between partners, often to the breaking point. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if you're suffering with ED, you likely know exactly what I'm talking about. But I also want you to know that ED doesn't have to impact your relationship anymore. At Heartland Men's Health, we're ED experts, with our focus on men's sexual health. We've treated tens of thousands of men and have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases. I promise you, if you're like most guys, you can get your sex life back, perhaps even performing like you haven't in years. So if ED is affecting you, it's time to get back to better sex, better intimacy, and deeper love. Call us. Just $99 gets you blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com.
Presenting Again Fling's love story. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus this morning when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. Alas, I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Try Gain Flings with OxyBoost and Febreze.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like an estate planner.
Per the contents of the will, all assets go to, what does that say? Ragu tataya yaminayat. Yeah, I don't know. I was in a weird place when I wrote this.
This is a job for sponsored jobs. This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
Welcome back, Jay Binkley, Blake Sneeders. As far as Tannenbaum, what he was saying, yeah, it's interesting. Last year, Travis Kelce was fourth in the NFL as far as all tight ends in yards per game. He was fourth in the NFL in receiving yards from tight ends. He was sixth in the NFL in tight end catches. So I have no idea what the hell he was talking about. But somebody does know what the hell they're talking about is Ron Cobb, leader over at Arrowhead Pride and Draft Coverage. What's going on, Ron? We at the Combine next week.
Oh man, that's my favorite intro yet. You know, I think I know what the H I'm talking about.
Oh, I know you do.
I know we got a lot going on. We got Combine coming up. It's full off season mode, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And speaking of off season, and you know, we don't have to get into specifics. Obviously, you saw the Rashee Rice news today. Just let that be handled with where it's being handled and then respond afterwards. But the bottom line is, when you have a tight end in Kelce, it's led this team in basically first or second yards the last decade. He's led them the last 2 years. He may or may not come back. We don't 100% know. And then if you don't have one of your receivers at some point during the season with suspension or whatever, Rice has only played 12 games the last 2 seasons. Out of 34 games, he's played 12 of them. So you can't always count on that anyway, regardless of what happens legally. With injuries and everything else, you can't always count on it. As far as receivers, when you look at free agents and wide receivers, you know, obviously, I don't know which direction to go. Alec Pierce is going to cost too much money. I still look at, you know, the draft, and that's where to do a lot of the damage.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think you know, no matter what the team knew internally, you know, leading into today, you know, obviously when the news broke, you know, we got it covered on AP, you know, the website definitely, you know, with all the details, which, Yeah, that's the thing. I think you have to. My take here, regardless of what happens moving forward, right? Whether he's proven innocent or guilty, whether it even turns into anything, in terms of it may settle out of court. I think it just to what you just talked about. Rashee Rice has laid a foundation of not being available to the team, and this only puts that into further speculation as he is entering a 12 to 16, 18 month period where he can either, extend on his rookie deal or re-sign, next offseason, obviously, when
It's
he's
money
a free
time
agent.
for him.
Right. And so all that to say is the Chiefs on their side, with this, they may have known this was coming out, but I just feel like with the number one, that 9th overall pick, I just feel like wide receiver just, clearly becomes, a stronger, possibility in my opinion, because if Jeremiah Love is someone that they are strong on, right, and that's a pick that boosts the offense, raises the floor of the run game, and potentially the ceiling, obviously, in the future. But right away, well, that's what you can get from the receiver position if maybe Love is gone, or maybe you do like one of these receivers more just from a talent perspective. But all that to say, yeah, I think you have to consider. And there's 3 receivers, right? It feels like there's that top 3 tier, and I don't know if that's going to change. Right? It doesn't feel like it'll really change before, we'll see it with the combine, but I don't know if there's a 4th receiver coming up, right? I feel like it's going to be those 3 receivers, if not maybe only 2 or one of them by the end of it that are possibilities there. But you got to think it's one of the strongest considerations now, considering that there are multiple positions, or multiple players at that position, whereas running back, safety, even linebacker, is more limited. So yeah, receivers got to be first pick, and you got to think about it, doubling up even earlier on in the draft.
Yeah, you double up on it. But the edge class, when you look at the edge class, I know Dane Brugler really likes it as top 100 as far as the edge picks. And the edge picks do look pretty strong, that second tier. Because we talk second tier wide receivers, you're talking some good ones. Denzel Boston, 6'3", Kevin Concepcion, but he's 5'11". Then, of course, you've got Zachariah Branch, Chris Brazzell at 6'5", in that second tier, but you also have a very good second tier of edge rushers. And I don't know where you consider better. I know we've talked about it before. Do you consider the second wave of edge rushers, like a Gabe Jackas, talking to Cassius Howell and R. Mason Thomas, Zion Young, someone like that, Derek Moore out of Michigan? Second tier edges. Do you consider a huge drop off, like Grand Canyon size gap between edge rushers in the first and then the second wave?
Right. That's how you usually think about it in drafts, right? Is, you got to get defensive trenches or just trenches in general, high in the draft, and it drops off. But it does feel like, maybe just because of the lack of strength overall, just from a consensus perspective, or, in terms of like how many first round grades there are, right? You're hearing there may not be, as many first round grade type players in this draft. It may just be that, but I do feel like that second, that range where the Chiefs are picking at 40, maybe a little further up, right? But there's the edge players that you mentioned, but also, Jay, the defensive tackles. I think that's where there's some really,
they
really
need that.
interesting
They
moves.
need that.
Right. And, I think I've been waiting for the Chiefs to find their 3-down tackle to kind of play next to Chris until, the end and kind of, become the next guy. But it's tough to be a 3-down tackle playing next to Chris, right? Because that means you have to be a nose tackle type, take on double teams, be a real run stuffer, but also, be able to do that at a starting caliber level and then impact the pass down game as well if you're going to be a 3-down player. But man, there are guys I feel like, might be able to do that when you're talking about, I know Cade McDonald, man, he might be too good in that kind of no man's land for the Chiefs where, he's between 9 and 40. But, Lee Hunter from Texas Tech, I think, will be in that range. And
2 guys I would love.
And he's the nose tackle type, but man, there's, you put him on any down and he's going to, wreck the pocket. So, him, obviously, Caleb Banks is someone that is just a lot of defensive tackle. He's a Chris Jones, size type defensive tackle. And we know in Kansas City, how just kind of those physical freaks like a Jones, because we all remember at first, Jones kind of being more of a project, maybe not necessarily, we didn't know for sure if he would become, a very consistent playmaker. And obviously now, he's become one of the most dominant pass rushers interior, in NFL history. But yeah, no, I think you have a lot of interesting names in that day 2, that 40 range. And so, yeah, man, even if you do go defensive end first round, if maybe, the offensive playmakers are gone, I don't mind doubling up, man. This defensive line needs that kind of, influx in talent. And so I don't think it would be, wrong at all for the Chiefs to go, with 2 defensive trench-like players, with those first 2 picks.
Yeah, one of the guys I think could be a great fit for Spags, man, is that Christian Miller, defensive lineman out of Georgia. It's a guy that'll play the nose for you. He's played, plays a lot of 3, plays that 5 technique. They can move him all around, kind of what 305, 310. He kind of ranges, but the dude can play everything from the inside. And I know last year they really tried to put more weight on Omar Norman Lott, and I thought they had him out of position there at the beginning before he got hurt because it's more of a guy to play more 3 to 5 technique than sitting over the nose.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on the Omar Norman Lott point. No, that's why I always kind of feel like I zone in on those nose tackle body types, or anyone who can play in that A gap, and because I do think it's valuable to have a playmaker in that spot. The Chiefs have gone for years. It's amazing how long it's gone on where the defensive tackle room is truly the same guys, right? Or nose tackle specifically. Obviously, Chris is there too, but Derek Nottie, Mike Pennell. I mean, these guys have been around since the first Super Bowl, and I feel like they've been on one-year deals since then too. Just keep coming back. At some point, it makes a difference to have as much as those guys are good in their roles, but being able to have a guy that even if the team does, or if the offense does pass on, a rundown, a run look, or just kind of maybe those boot actions, right, or having athletic quarterbacks, just having a real it's rare to get a playmaker, with a nose tackle body type, right? But again, that's where this draft, that's why these defensive trench, the guys like we're talking about in this range are really interesting, because I feel like you don't see like a handful of names, I feel like, that fit that description, but there are kind of in this day 1, day 2 range this year.
It's that whole mobility thing that, like I mentioned, Christian Miller plays right at 1 technique, he can do 3, he can play the 5, he can do a lot of different things. So I think that would be somebody Spags would like on that defensive line for sure. When you look at fits, they would fit right into what Steve Spagnuolo wants to do. Where do you sit when you see a guy like Caleb Downs, the safety at number 9? I will say this. I mean, dude's got unreal talent. I mean, the guy is talented beyond belief. You can make a real argument he might be the most talented out of those top 20 picks in the NFL draft. Hell, the whole first round, you can make an argument that Caleb Downs might be the most talented player. He's liked a lot to Kyle Hamilton, but Hamilton's quite a bit bigger. He's 6'4", 220, and Downs at 6 foot 205, even though Downs brings that punt return ability. He's got 2 touchdowns as a punt returner as well. But where do you sit on that? Because I'm more late round safety for the Chiefs.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I love Caleb Downs, and I do think he's just such a difference maker that, or especially I should say in Spagnuolo's, defense, where, he might go to another team, that's picking high, and, maybe they play a more structured, where they're not letting him be as creative on pass downs, or, he's playing more of a simplified role. I feel like if he was to be drafted by Kansas City, you set up where Spagnuolo loves to have that kind of safety, and they haven't had that since, Tyrann Mathieu was the first iteration of it. Kind of just that chess piece. He can move around in dime packages. Playing up in the box, up in the A gap. All of a sudden he's bailing and picking the tight end up. Just confusing the quarterback. Well, Jay Reed did it too. And did it in a different way, right? But I hand up. Jay Reed's someone that blocked me on Twitter because I apparently was that critical of his play while he was here. He was a very underrated, in terms of how impactful he was to the defensive success, especially that 2023 year. So I'm telling you, man, safety is a huge part of how, Spags succeeds, right? He wants to be hectic, be chaotic. Well, he needs players that can do that, calmly, right? Like it's you got to be, cool, while you're chaotic. And man, Caleb Downs is one of those guys that, he's already been doing that for Ohio State, with Matt Patricia as the defensive coordinator. They have a lot of, disguised looks and, NFL type, defense, pass defenses, because he can do it all, man. He can, give you all the different looks, right? He can play, deep by himself, he can play the one high and cover it. But Man, he is. I'll tell you, Jay, I don't know if this has stood out to you, but he is one of the soundest tacklers I swear I've ever seen. Where, like, it doesn't matter how much in space he is or where he's at, he just always ends up, squaring you up and knocking you. I was watching the Miami playoff game, the film. He forced 2 fumbles, and on Malachi Toney in space, and both of them were again in space, just coming up and having the technique just as perfect as you could expect from, in live action. So Caleb Downs is as safe as a pick as possible, but I think he may get maximized out of any team that could pick him, where he's going to go. I think Kansas City is probably going to maximize him the most. And obviously that too, is because they're probably going to be the most likely to get back into, big games and stuff where he can make an impact.
And it is alluring because he can do so many things. He can play man, he can play zone, he can be a box safety at the line. He can do a lot of things like a Kyle Hamilton. But I will say Kyle Hamilton, again, 6'4", 220, so they can put him at off-ball linebacker. He's fast enough to play the nickel, and he plays safety, and they use him on the edge as well. I mean, they use him all over the place. But Caleb is a bit smaller, of course, than Kyle Hamilton. But make no mistake about it, this dude, as far as first-rounders, might be the most talented.
No, and I just want to add, to that point about he can play in the box. Shoot, I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs did draft him. Maybe not right away. Obviously, he's a rookie, but at some point with Nick Bolton, just put him at that, where you have a weak side linebacker a lot of time. You're technically playing dime. That's what the Chargers do a lot with Derwin James, where technically you only have one linebacker on the field, but you present like 2 linebackers because Derwin James can do that. And Caleb Downs that kind of guy. So, yeah, it just gives you so much flexibility as a defense.
How do you feel we should look at Omar Norman Lott coming back? Because I look at that and look at his production and what he did at Tennessee. There's a reason why the Chiefs picked him in the 2nd round, and he gets hurt early, and you don't really get to see what all Omar Norman Lott can do. But I do feel, even though he was picked last year in the 2nd round, that's going to be a nice surprise for Chiefs fans how good this guy can be when he's in the right position and playing at the right weight, because it's like a little bonus pick this year.
Yeah, well, and like you mentioned earlier, them trying to put weight on him. Hey, if he can gain, a few pounds of muscle and to get a little more stout, he's like you just mentioned. I mean, he was a top 60 pick because of his ability to, penetrate, get after the quarterback, has, I think it's just players have that, especially inside. Like you kind of either have it or you don't. And the guys that do have it just get picked high. And so they need to develop him into the right, position player. But at the same time, there's talent there. And that's why it would really be nice, again, if they can get, at nose tackle type that can, demand snaps, he's just going to be I feel like a great, 3rd defensive tackle off the bench, get him, kind of rotate, the rotation deeper, right? I feel like the Chiefs have not had deep rotations for a while, and I think that's important. You see that from all the other NFL, great pass rushes, is that they have waves of guys that can throw at you.
What do you got coming up this week, Ron? What are you working on right now? When's your mock come out?
Jay, I love mock draft. I love covering them. I love seeing all the different perspectives, but I got to wait till free agency.
You got to wait. It's understandable because that's more accurate.
Yeah, and it's just, especially with the number 9 pick, I think that really does, the way they attack free agency, at the running back position. So
it's all I guess at this point until combine numbers and free agency. It'll mess with everything.
I need you to keep making mocks because I like seeing everyone, what the thoughts are. But yeah, I can't bring it to myself until then. But yeah, no, we're covering free agency. We're covering these restructures we're seeing. Right, Mahomes just opened up bunch of cap space. That'll be
within an instant. 43 million more bucks.
And I think you might see another flip. It's alluding. I think there's some smoke that Chris Jones may see the same thing happen to him.
That could make money too.
Yeah, exactly. So there'll be players in free agency. There's definitely some. I think offensive weapon wise is maybe the exciting part of free agency this year. So running back, receiver, tight end. If they want to take a swing at one of those, there are names to get excited about. So definitely just keep tuning into the site. We'll have free agency coverage ready for you and draft coverage ready for you next week, baby. Combine is coming.
That's right.
Caleb, Nate, and I are ready to give y'all all the draft analysis you need.
You guys are doing a great job on it. Thanks a lot, Ron. Appreciate it. Ron Cobb joining us now. Thanks a ton, Ron.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you. There you go. Love talking draft with him. By the way, Blake, a court case has been decided on something that's a food item. And nothing too pressing here. This is regarding food. I'll tell you what that is next.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan.
Taxes was waiting on the refund you needed yesterday.
All right, your car repair is going to run about $3,000.
Now Taxes is getting back on the road with TurboTax and Credit Karma, where you can get your refund up to 5 days faster and get personalized guidance to take every dollar further. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Deposit a federal refund into Credit Karma Money account and early submission of refund data by IRS required. Terms apply. Banking services provided by MVB Bank, Inc. Member FDIC. Credit Karma is not a bank.
Men, we all know how important sex is in a relationship, both for you and your partner. But erectile dysfunction ruins sex, which can often have serious impacts on your relationship as well. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if ED is a problem in your life, you understand the impacts it has on you and the one you love. But I'm here to tell you that ED is a treatable condition, and almost without exception, you can have really good sex again. At Heartland Men's Health, we're experts in treating ED. We've treated tens of thousands of men with protocols that are effective in well over 90% of cases, which means if you're like most guys, good sex will be the norm. You could even last up to an hour or more and bring a level of intimacy for you and your partner that might just astound you both. It's time to have really good sex again, so call us. Just $99 gets you blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that
Apologies. It's been a long day. Hicks at safety. I think with the addition of a D end, he will continue to get better. I just think he's got a lot of potential.
He kind of slipped out as far as in their minds last year.
I know.
But I believe in the guy. I like the guy.
I do too. And him and Cook were a good 1-2 punch when they were on the field together. I know he is. And he always seems to be around the ball, especially his rookie season.
Oh, he had a better rookie
happen.
year. I think he had a better rookie year.
Elijah. I don't know what is going on with me, man.
Do you know what Elijah?
I did in college. But
he's like your best friend or something?
No. No. I don't know why that keeps happening.
Elijah Mahomes?
Jaden and Jalen, I called both Elijah.
That's fine.
I'll take 5.
It's like bonus swings. I know what you're talking about. I hear
well,
you.
I saw the look on your face. You're like, who the hell is
Well,
this
you
kid
keep going
talking
Elijah.
about?
I'm just trying to
We don't
figure
have anybody on the team named that.
No. We should.
I swear I do know sports. I don't know.
I know you do.
I don't know
That's
what's going
fine,
on.
though. It's like boneless wings or chicken nugget, whatever. Who cares?
Hey,
I know
Mike
what you're-
Evans doesn't have a Super Bowl, all right? So
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, Mike Evans doesn't have a Super Bowl. Man. Coming up next, I saw something quite interesting about quarterbacks in the NFL. We'll talk about that next.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan.
Wouldn't you like to take a vacation from your bills? Well, you can. With credit card balances at an all-time high and Golden Oak's 4.5% rate, you could be saving thousands of dollars after a simple phone call. Call today and get your cash in as little as 14 days and make no payments for 2 months. Call 913-890-GOLD.
Golden Oak Landing, cured my blues.
5.442 APR, FHA 15-year, 20% equity, qualified credit, additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-885-3100. 800-885-3100. 800-885-3100.
Legendary doesn't happen by chance. It happens because it's what BetMGM does. Sign up for BetMGM using bonus code DUSTY and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you do not win your first bet. Get into hockey, basketball, your favorite winter sports with same-game parlays. Live betting, earn BetMGM reward points on every bet. Take advantage of football offers found nowhere else, like a second chance on a first touchdown bet, and keep an eye out for rewards dropping in your account throughout the season. Sign up again with bonus code DUSTY and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you do not win your first bet. BetMGM, make it legendary. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 and older only. Missouri only. New customer offer. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Bonus bets that expire in 1 to 7 days. Please gamble responsibly.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Michael from the Warren Treaty. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. Only Novo Nordisk makes FDA-approved Ozempic. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5 milligram, 1 milligram, and 2 milligrams.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Mac Maury, and I wanted to let you know that I've started a new social media series called Mac's Minute. Real original, right? It gets released every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on our station's Instagram and Twitter accounts, plus YouTube Shorts. I'll give you my best take in 60 seconds on the biggest stories in sports and Kansas City. Make sure to follow on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe on YouTube. Watch Mac's Minute every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on our social media platforms. This is Kansas City's FM sports station, 96.5 The Fan.
Well, I never knew you as a big Elijah Mitchell fan. But as the text line points out, that must have been what you were thinking. And you and I talked about it during the break. We tried to figure out where your Elijah is coming from. It's Elijah Mitchell. Clearly, that's
who I was talking about.
You probably talked about, like, why isn't he more active? Why wasn't he activated in Buffalo? Why was it Clyde that was? And then remember they get rid of Elijah Mitchell? Then the Patriots picked him up, put him on their practice squad. By the way, they cut him January 14th, so he didn't get to go to the Super Bowl.
No ring.
Because
did he get a ring or no?
They'll bring. They didn't win, so I don't know if he got an AFC Championship one or not. But
I need to go home.
But a lot of times they'll take the practice squad with them, to the Super Bowl. And here's the deal: it's at the owner's discretion, but typically they give practice squad players Super Bowl rings. So had they won, Elijah Mitchell would have got a ring, man. Imagine that. Being with the Chiefs, everyone to play. Imagine if you would have picked up a Super Bowl ring with the Patriots. Then you could talk about the legendary Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion Elijah.
Super Bowl champion Elijah.
Put some
Elijah
respect
Mitchell
on that name. But, he did re-sign with the Patriots. So good for Elijah Mitchell. He's got a little wear and tear on the body now.
A little less after this past year.
But you got to think, man, what kind of situation is he in? Because when you couldn't get on the field for this team, the running back situation, you got to wonder. I know you played for the Chiefs, but come on. I don't know if you can just use that as a calling card anymore. I played for the Chiefs. No, so Fox had this thing out here. Top 10 quarterbacks never to win a Super Bowl. And here's their top 10. Dan Marino 1.
Of course.
I agree with that. Phillip Rivers 2. I always thought Phillip Rivers, when he played, was the best quarterback not to win one. It's like Phil Mickelson was the best player not to have won a major until he started winning a bunch of majors. Phillip's never going to win Super Bowls, but okay. Number 3, Matt Ryan. 4, Jim Kelly. Now,
I knew that was coming.
I would have probably put Jim Kelly at 2 instead of Phillip. I would have had to move Phillip because Jim, 4 straight Super Bowls. And basically, if it wasn't for your kicker, Scott Norwood, he'd have a ring. And then we'd look at him completely different. But I think Jim Kelly, you can make an argument Jim Kelly over Dan Marino. But Dan did go to 1. Fran Tarkenton at 5, okay. He did some damage there with the Vikings. Number 6 is Warren Moon. Warren Moon put up ridiculous. He was such a good quarterback. I remember him throwing for 500 yards in Kansas City one time. When he wasn't with the Chiefs, he was still with the Oilers.
Yeah.
With that team he had, like Haywood Jeffries and some of those guys, Ernest Givens and Curtis Duncan, and what he had at receiver doing the run and shoot in Houston was fun. Number 7, Carson Palmer. 8, Steve McNair. 9, Dan Fouts. Now, keep in mind, Dan Fouts is a Hall of Famer. It's Hall of Famer Dan Fouts at number 9. And number 10, Donovan McNabb. Now, as far as the honorable mentions, they have Randall Cunningham, Boomer Esiason, Ken Anderson, Cam Newton, and Vinny Testaverde. You know the one quarterback you can't have on there because the dude has a ring, Joe Flacco. Like, you can't because Joe's got a ring, so you can't be on this list.
No.
Matt Ryan should have been there.
Should have walked into a ring. Should have walked into a ring.
Do you know Joe Flacco has more postseason wins than Dan Marino?
I did.
That's insanity. Phillip Rivers always did seem like the best never to win one. But I got to put Jim Kelly there, though, man.
I would agree with
For
you.
what he did with Buffalo and how they didn't even go to the playoffs for 17 years after he left and stuff like that. They had that drought, but he was the Buffalo Bills. And I can't really blame him for Scott Norwood missing. Because if Scott Norwood makes it instead of goes wide, we're talking Super Bowl champion Jim Kelly. Then the Bills, I think, are looked like the Braves, where the Braves were good every year, but they just won that one.
Yeah.
It would have been the Bills just winning that one. Just imagine how it changes everything in the town had Norwood made that kick. Because that solidifies Jim Kelly, regardless of being 1-3 in the Super Bowls, just to win a Super Bowl. Scott Norwood changed the whole outlook for how we look at Jim Kelly.
Exactly. Well, and even in the organization, if you look at the the mental trauma that all the Buffalo fans had in the 90s, and then you fast forward to the last 5-6 years with Josh Allen and the mental trauma that the Chiefs have given them. So you have those two eras of like, they were so good in the 90s. Oh, they're so good again in the 2020s, and they still can't do it. Now, I know they didn't get to the Super Bowl, even though they clearly, this was their chance to do it. But just the trauma as a Bills fan has
it probably
to be,
bugs him every night
man.
with no Mahomes, no Burrow, no Lamar Jackson. And the guy that did go was a guy from your own division. I mean, they'd won the division 5 straight years, right? Kept looking at the Chiefs and how to stop them, and maybe worried about the Broncos a little bit, even though they pasted them in the playoffs 2 years ago. Right there, man. Red carpet right there to the Super Bowl. And yet Drake May and the Patriots sneak it, take their lunch money, and win the division.
Winners win, Bink. Winners win. What is Josh Allen? What is he? I don't know now.
I don't know, but man, that Scott Norwood really screwed up people's legacies, didn't he?
And Donovan McNabb on that list is crazy too, because I mean he was one of those
almost won it.
Almost. He was so close. That dastardly Tom Brady guy.
Steve McNair almost beat the greatest show on turf in the Super Bowl.
Air McNair.
Yeah, I always look at Dan Fouts. He's number 9 because Dan Fouts is in the Hall of Fame, right?
Of course.
Eli Manning will get in there eventually, but he hasn't made it the first 2 times, right? Eli, I know that's a big debate. Should Eli belong in the Hall of Fame or not? I'd say yes.
I think I don't even think it's a question. I don't think it should be a debate.
He's top 11 in passing yards and touchdowns and everything else. So it's not like he does have the numbers.
It's also 2-time Super Bowl champ and 2-time Super Bowl MVP.
But he did it over Tom Brady. Like he beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, which that's not an easy thing to do. And the fact that he did it twice, including an undefeated Patriots team. But he has 14,000 more passing yards than Dan Fouts. He's got 100 more touchdown passes than Dan Fouts. And Dan Fouts is in the Hall of Fame without ever sniffing the Super Bowl, and Eli's won 2 of them. I mean, it's one comparison never gets thrown out there when people argue, should Eli be in the Hall of Fame or not? Dan Fouts is, and Eli's a hell of a lot better in all different categories. Now, I get it. Fouts had better seasons, throughout. Eli had the long career and stuff.
You also have different amount of games, different eras.
But
passing was up and down.
Talent, yeah.
So like that's one of those
Different
where
eras.
it's hard to judge. It's hard to judge against eras.
Different eras for sure.
Like when people say, one of the greatest basketball players is Kareem or LeBron James or Wilt. And I'm like, well, Bill Russell won 11 championships, but nobody's calling Bill Russell the greatest of all time. Why? Different eras. You know what I mean? MJ's the greatest of all time. Bill Russell won 11 championships.
The text line saying 913 saying that texted in Elijah Mitchell said, "Sorry, I promised it was a joke, but that was the only reason Elijah could come up with." No, that's perfectly fine. That's very acceptable. That's the winning answer. This might be the cause of why Blake has Elijah on his mind.
I love it. He's
also wearing Elijah Mitchell jersey, and I should have put 2 and 2 together, but I didn't.
They can see me on the camera too.
Not
Bink.
the Chiefs jersey, the Patriots Elijah Mitchell.
You gave Bink a whole new
no.
A whole
Old
new
school
segment.
49ers.
Yes.
Elijah Mitchell. 100%. Anyway, I do want to go talk about that Tyreek Hill situation again and all the people that absolutely positively want Tyreek back. A lot of things I want back. That's not one of them. Thanks.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan.
Sex, intimacy, love. These three things are critical to a good relationship, and that's the problem with erectile dysfunction. It often destroys sexual enjoyment and intimacy. It stresses the love between partners, often to the breaking point. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if you're suffering with ED, you likely know exactly what I'm talking about. But I also want you to know that ED doesn't have to impact your relationship anymore. At Heartland Men's Health, we're ED experts with our focus on men's sexual health. We've treated tens of thousands of men and have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases. I promise you, if you're like most guys, you can get your sex life back, perhaps even performing like you haven't in years. 6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com.
Not sure how to tackle your taxes? Are you sweating the small print? You may be experiencing FOMO, the fear of messing up. The answer? Using TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it with a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. It's time to take your taxes to the max. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
Trust is earned. That's why I've stuck with Straight Talk. Same price since 2009 on Verizon's 5G network. Cause shoot, anyone can make a promise. Keeping it for years, that means something.
Now plans starting at $25 a month with 4 lines. Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Same price claim applies only to the base monthly price of our $45 plan from October 2009 to present.
Welcome back, Jim Binkley. Blake Schneiders with us. So I mentioned that poll. It was 59.9% would say no on a Tyreek Hill reunion in Kansas City. 40% said yes. 40% likes holding on to old dreams. There was a lot of people upset with me. A little bit. It does surprise me. There was a lot of people that wanted him, though. I mean, if you put any value into social media or hearing from people or talking to people about Tyreek Hill, it was rumored that he was in Kansas City, right? Well, there's probably a lot of reasons. I mean, he did play here for a long time by his friends, whatever. Wouldn't be shocked if he was here.
He had a locker that he just had to,
and because he was released, he could technically be signed any time. You don't have to wait till March 11th with him.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait till league year with him. I'll take Bradley Chubb, though. Like, Bradley Chubb for a 2-year deal, prove a deal. Like, Chubb is a good pass rusher. Like, that is somebody that I feel that actually could help the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know where you came out on Bradley Chubb, but that name, when it's out there, that's the Dolphin I would rather take.
I'm all for it. I mean, I was a Chubb fan when he was in Denver. I like Bradley Chubb. I mean, I'm never going to turn down somebody who has a name and could also benefit our defensive line at the moment. I mean, hell, I'd even be on the train if you wanted to give Khalil Mack a one year free agent deal.
I mean, Elijah Chubb
and Elijah Mack, get him in here.
Well, we'll see what kind of deal. He did have that big contract extension with the Dolphins. Of course, I don't think he'll be there. You're probably looking maybe a 2 to 3 year type deal. His original deal, he had 5 years, $110 million. He had a lot, but of course that ship is sailed. That is much different. Could you get Elijah Mitchell, for 12 to 13 or not? God damn it!
Now you're doing it.
Elijah Mitchell. Could you get Bradley Chubb on a 2-year prove-a deal? Could you do that?
I'm sure you can.
See what you got me doing now?
Sorry, you've got me dying back here, man.
Look what you got me doing, man. You got me taking Bradley Chubb or Elijah Chubb. If you could get it on a short-term 2 to 3 year deal, he does have that ACL tear in his past, but you know what? The Chiefs going to be dealing with that several times, and I mean, it's something you have to deal with. But having a veteran edge presence like that, I think that kind of a little bit rectifies your situation at 9, going pass rush. Like if you were to bring in somebody like that, you honestly maybe not need to reach at 9 with it. I know it was a popular pick for a lot of people to have an edge at number 9, but you bring in a veteran presence like Bradley Chubb, all of a sudden, you know what? You can draft that second-tier guy, Blake. You can draft that second-tier guy because you got Aiden Bradley Chubb as a free agent in the offseason, so you can handle that more at 40 if you went wide receiver at pick number 9.
Of course. I'm looking at a lot of these other names on here. I mean, you've got some big names on the defensive end.
And he's
D-line
older.
free
He's
agent list.
tweeted around 30 years old, so it
That's
would be
fine.
only 1 or 2 year deal.
Yeah. You're not going to give him a 5-year deal. I mean, obviously, you've got big names that there's no shot of coming. Hendricks, Mack. Oh, Mack's not a no shot, but Bosa, Danico Autry. These guys are obviously up there in age. Von Miller's technically out there. Again, up there in age. Cam Jordan. Then you got guys like Dante Fowler Jr. You got the Javian Clowney's out there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Clavon Chason. I mean,
text line pointing out, he's going to be around 30 years old. That's true, but it doesn't stop you from wanting a 32-year-old receiver. That's the one thing about it. Like everyone's Tyreek Hill, who's going to turn 33 here. Let me see when Tyreek turns 33. Yeah, I get it. There's Mike Evans of the world and Keenan Allen's of the world. Still several times. But Tyreek is 31 at this point. He turns 32 in just about a week. March 1st. Sort of around the 1st of March, he'll be a 32-year-old. So you did sign him. He'd be 32 years old real quick here in about a week or so. Which, can he play at 32 or will he really start playing and being acclimated at 33 years old? Again, these names are great, right? But there wasn't that clamoring for Eric Hosmer a year after he left Kansas City or Mike Moustakas. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the NFL hits you fast, man. Like, it hits you fast. And if you can't be, your number one attribute is, like, obviously he's a good route runner and stuff, but taking tops off defense. He was that explosive player. He had a lot of drops. As I mentioned, he was number 2. He's been number 2, number 5, number 7 in drops in the NFL. I think people forget how many times he does drop. He makes spectacular catches. He does. But he also drops a lot, too. Remind you of Rashee Rice?
Yeah.
Who makes spectacular, but also will drop things he should catch.
Yes.
Like
3rd and 5s.
If you became more of an intermediate receiver because you lost that top-end speed, and yet you had a problem catching the football, what good does that do you?
You've now lost 2 of the 3 things that they'd like.
So that's why I'd kind of be cautious for it.
I mean, he was, what was it? You said it was, is it 2 years ago where he almost broke the record?
Yeah, a couple years ago. Well, he was number 1 player in the NFL. He
Yeah.
was number 1 in the NFL top 100.
But then I can also see why you checked out in Miami, because it was kind of a dumpster fire over there.
I always thought there'd be some real competition with Jalen Waddle and him. Both speed guys, or because you're not going to get the total numbers because Jaden's getting or Waddle's going to get his.
They seem to feed him pretty good. It's just
he did. He got the ball a lot in Miami.
It's just that entire organization right now.
913 thoughts on trading back instead to get more picks. Don't know what the value would be. That's the one thing about it, because this draft isn't that loaded. Now, if this was 2027, I'd say hell yes, 100%. But who's really going to be someone in their 20s that you want, unless you're, enamored with the Chris Brazel or Derek Moore or somebody like that, and you said, okay, we can go up and get somebody we think they're sleeping. Teams are sleeping on said players, which you can, because you can get great players all throughout the draft. When you get past the first round, you just got to be right. I mean, you got to be right to get a Puka Nacua in the 5th round.
Yeah.
With their 4th, 5th round selection. You got to be good to get a Juwan Jennings in the 7th round. You got to be good to get a Brock Purdy for the last pick of the draft. So, yes, it does happen where you can get guys later, or get a Trey Smith in the 6th. That's the highest paid guard in the NFL. It does happen. It just doesn't happen as frequently as we'd like.
I'd also, because the Chiefs have picked so late in the first round draft for, the last 7 years, this is the first time a Pat Mahomes-led team has had an availability for a top 10 pick. I don't think you give that up, especially with a weaker draft.
Yeah, I can see it being tempting.
And I'm not hating on ideas here. We're all throwing out ideas.
Players they really want are gone by 9, which could be a possibility. And the only reason it really sucks is because there's only one quarterback ahead of them. Only one. Mendoza is the only quarterback. Now, if there was 2 or 3 quarterbacks, if Dante Moore when Dante Moore decided to go back to Oregon, I was like, crap, man. That's one slot from the Chiefs right there. That's one slot away. Because that would have been a slot for a quarterback, Dante Moore, that would have gone ahead of the Chiefs, and that would have made somebody else available at 9. Having that quarterback there. Owe, yeah, I like There's certain guys. I'm for that too. If that's what you want to do, go get somebody on a 1-2 year type prove it deal, or a guy, 30 years old turning, to that no man's land in the NFL that you can sign, for $11-12 million instead of drafting somebody to help you this year, help you for the future. I'm 100% for that because they're going to have to think of that. And what's cheaper, that position or the wide receiver position? Wide receiver position for just an average guy is going to cost you in the mid-20s. These are things they're going to have to think about. Of course, Patrick Mahomes helping them out with that contract. Once again, the greatest contract ever signed. It just keeps yielding fun. Hey, we need money. Oh, let's restructure Pat and save us $44 million right there. And, Chris Jones, he's the guy that you can do something not to that level of Patrick Mahomes, but you can save enough money. And if they cut Juwan Taylor, boom, they're in the clear again. Not negative.
I mean, the Veach and his staff are always working magic with the numbers on the contract,
which is a good sign because you don't want to go into free agency not having any money to go play with.
No, you don't want to have your hands tied. I mean, you go into free agency with only maybe being able to make some low level move that doesn't matter. You might as well not have gone in at all.
I think that's why I was shocked the most about Tyreek Hill and everybody wanting him back, because the same sentiment, the same vocal majority was calling for the Chiefs to get new blood, like for offensive coordinator, not bring the same guys back. Was the same, let's not bring back the Mike Pennells anymore, the Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the Juju Smith-Schuster. Let's go in a different direction. Now's a chance to go in a different direction. There was a lot of that. Why do we have to keep running things back? There was a ton of that. There was a lot of cynicism. You know that. People are saying we need to stop going back to the well. Stop bringing back guys back that had Chiefs in their history. Well, why didn't people think that with Tyreek Hill? Why does that?
I can tell you why. Bink. It's because the lasting memory of and what Tyreek did while he was here didn't end the way that it did with this group who was much less talented than Tyreek Hill. Yes, they did win more Super Bowls, but the talent level and the way that they performed this past season has soured all of that. Tyreek really didn't get a chance to sour anything other than the fact that we woke up one day and he was traded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He didn't get that downward trajectory, that sour taste in people's mouth as much. So I think that's why this one to them and anybody who's got that idea, it doesn't feel quite the same. Yes, I would agree with you, though. It's that same sentiment of don't bring guys back. We're past that. We have to move on from that. This has to be a new generation going forward. But I think that's the difference there. There's no sour taste left from the way that, I mean,
well, I get it, though, man. It's a name you like. I mean, you love those Chiefs teams, especially that first one that won with Mahomes, because you had to go so far back when Len Dawson did it. There in 1970 was a huge gap of 50 years there. We didn't win it, and those guys mean something to the team. It's like the 85 Royals that always meant so much individually to everybody in this town because that was it. That's all you had to hold on until the 2015 team.
To me, it would be akin to like if Jared Allen would have came back after his time in Minnesota, people would have welcomed him with open arms because nobody wanted to get rid of him in the first place.
Pretty good that was drafted for a long snapper, right?
Right. Idaho State?
Ended up being pretty damn good for a long snapper.
Yeah. Pretty good career.
Regardless, I was a little bit surprised on that. I'll address some of your texts, too. 913-586-7965 regarding the Kansas City Chiefs and free agency and or the draft, who you would take now. If you had to change everything, were you all hell-bent on getting defense with a 9th pick, and now you're saying, all right, I need a receiver because of the news that comes out. Now, not to say there's anything different on Rashee Rice. We don't know. That's the thing. But the unknown is certainly a problem. Whenever you can't pencil something in 100% and know definitively what the outcome is, it bothers you. It's cognitive dissonance. You think you know something, but it's something else. We'll talk about that next.
You're listening to After Hours, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan.
Having unexpected car trouble or just in a car accident? Call Jay Southland Tow Service, 816-779-4869 or southlandtow.com. Use the tow service trusted by most local police departments. They can do it all. Be in the know and call Jay's Southland Tow.
Don't let winter catch you off guard. Keep your family cozy with a $69 heating system tune-up from Hamilton Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Rooter. We have pros available 7 days a week to keep your system running at peak efficiency, helping prevent costly breakdowns, lower energy bills, and keep your home warm all winter long. Over 40 years experience and more than 8,000 5-star reviews are great reasons to trust Hamilton. Visit callhamilton.com/radio for details, terms, and conditions.
License number 2025-11121.
Men, we all know how important sex is in a relationship, both for you and your partner. But erectile dysfunction ruins sex, which can often have serious impacts on your relationship as well. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if ED is a problem in your life, you understand the impacts it has on you and the one you love. But I'm here to tell you that ED is a treatable condition, and almost without exception, you can have really good sex again. At Heartland Men's Health, we're experts in treating ED. We've treated tens of thousands of men with protocols that are effective in well over 90% of cases, which means if you're like most guys, good sex will be the norm. You could even last up to an hour or more and bring a level of intimacy for you and your partner that might just astound you both. It's time to have really good sex again, so call us. Just $99 gets you blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices: Overland Park, Independence, and North Kansas City.
Honey, that flu keeping you up? Did you take NyQuil Intense Flu?
Nah, I got this. Okay, I don't got this.
Yeah, you need NyQuil Intense Flu.
Undo your flu with NyQuil Intense Flu. NyQuil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms so you can sleep.
You do got this.
NyQuil Intense Flu. The nighttime sniffling, aching fever. Best sleep with the flu medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. After my husband died, the last thing I wanted to think about was money. Ethos made it affordable to get life insurance. Signing up was fast and 100% online. I knew that I could pay our mortgage and have food in the fridge. I could focus on my kids. No one ever tells you how much you're going to depend on that policy. I am so grateful we had coverage.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/life. That's ethos.com/life. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the DM Injury Law Studios. Mike's got this.
Car, truck, or motorcycle wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
Welcome back, Jay Binkley, Blake Steeners. I tell you what, Blake, I'm hungry for bone-in chicken wings now.
I love me a good bone-in chicken wing, but you know what I like better?
What's that?
Boneless wings. Not boneless chicken nuggets.
You mean chicken poppers?
No, sir. I said what I meant, and I meant what I said.
Are you going to get some tonight?
Oh, you mean wings. Okay. Probably not. I don't know what I got in the fridge, but you know what? That's actually fun. I do got 2 chicken breasts I need to make, so maybe.
Boom, there you go.
There you go. And they are boneless.
Chicken poppers. Never made wings. I prefer, there's certain things that I can't make anything, to be honest with you, but there's certain things that it's like I'd rather get it from the pros, right?
I make some mean wings, man.
Like there's some people that make some awesome barbecue, right? I've known people that make their own burn-ins and stuff like this, but I'd rather just go get it from the pros. It's like everybody can make your own beer, or you can just go buy it from the pros.
But yeah, but not everybody should. Not everybody should make their own beer.
Yeah. Text line, I heard Jordan Tyson is compared to Jamar Chase today. Who made that comparison? I'd like to know. I mean, he's a credible player, but I wonder who made that comparison. In 2022, he had a torn ACL, MCL, and PCL at Colorado, a 2024 collarbone injury when he was at Arizona State. Again, incredible player when he plays. Let me throw that on there. When he plays. Matter of fact, Jordan Tyson, though, if you want to know, here's what he's played since the last 4 years. And he's a name that's linked the Chiefs a lot. His first year at Colorado, he played 9 games. Next year at Arizona State, wasn't eligible to play there. Only 3 games. His junior year at Arizona State, he played in 12 games. Had a good 12 games. This past year, he played 9. So he misses a lot of time. Again, great player, but again, it doesn't do you any good if someone's not playing.
Yeah, it doesn't typically get
And I like
better.
the guy. I mean, the guy, he's fun to watch. I remember watching his games this year. He's a fun player to watch.
Injuries don't typically get better as you go into the NFL. If you were injury prone before, it's not then you all of a sudden have an 11-year non-injured career. Typically, that trend continues.
Here's the text line. Somebody's got it all worked out. They said their coworker, draft Downs and Bain, because you're trading McDuffie to the Jets, and you're getting. I don't know if the Jets are in the market to make it. They're pretty happy with what the Colts gave them when they fleeced them for Sauce Gardner.
Yeah,
and getting 2 first-round picks. I think they're pretty happy with that. Listen, you can trade. You've seen a lot of the scenarios, the trading. Trey McDuffie to the Rams. Again, first-round pick. Pick 29 is not pick 29 in next year's draft. Pick 29 is just a crapshoot. It's basically getting a second rounder.
Yeah, but it does slide you up to maybe take somebody named Elijah. Now, if it does slide you up though to pick maybe put you in that sweet spot for Young from Mizzou.
And I would not make a comparison to Jamar Chase and Jordan Tyson. I mean, as much as Jamar Chase gets on our nerves, the dude's damn good. I think he's the best receiver in the NFL.
I mean, yeah.
So basically, you'd be saying
people would argue JJ, but
you'd be comparing Jordan Tyson to the best receiver in the NFL, and that's way too much for somebody that doesn't play very often.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Quick update for you, Bink.
Okay.
Coming down to the end of the first half. 2 minutes left in the ball game. Mizzou up 31 versus Vanderbilt, number 19. Vanderbilt. For your local college basketball.
Local hopes. Can't wait for. Gosh, we get that. We got that too. So we now have the rest of the Olympics here for the weekend. Then we get the WBC. Then you get March Madness, and then you get the World Cup. And I didn't mention the combine, the draft, and everything else. I mean, there's so much stuff on the horizon. Thanks to Ron Kopp for joining us earlier, talking NFL draft. Tomorrow night, bring on Lance Zierlein from NFL.com. He's the one that writes all the bios for all the different draft picks. See what Lance thinks. He's already rated. He has Cardinal Tate as his 4th best player in the NFL. We'll figure out what he would do if you were the Kansas City Chiefs at number 9. If the best of the best is taken, which direction would he go? Anyway, Blake Sneeders, thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Bink.
Appreciate it, my friend.
Always a pleasure.
We'll talk to everybody soon.
Yes, sir. Good night.